Hello and welcome to a really special episode of Bosch Professional Live UK. I'm Chris.
And I'm Danny. On Q&A today we have Tim.
Hi, I'm Tim. As always, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat and we'll get to as many of them as possible.
So I made a mention, and thank you all for joining us for this, again, very special episode of Bosch Professional Live UK. If you saw some of the teasers and the little adverts that went out there, it's not only the new T, or we call it new product live stream, but also, Danny?
Yes, it's the 50th birthday of SDS Plus.
Now, we are very fond of inventing things here at Bosch, and over the years, there's many things that we've invented. There's many things that also came out around the same time that we invented SDS.
Many things that have come and gone.
That's right. But before we talk about SDS, maybe we should make a quick mention on where we came from when it came to Bosch hammers in general, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, let's say we go all the way back to the early 19th century.
Yes.
We're looking at the time period of around the 20s, the 25s.
That'd be the 20th century, Chris.
Yeah, sorry, you know what I'm
Semantics.
saying. Semantics, yes. Well, actually, all the way back into the 19th, when obviously Bobby Bosch was born, of course. That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, nice recovery from my side. Okay, yeah. So Bosch was originally very much automotive.
Yes,
Okay, the
very much so.
Magneto that's in our logo, that was part of it. The original rudimentary starter.
Charging system.
Charging system for the cars of the time. So there's a lot of things that Bosch were doing within the automotive industry. However, there was something that happened around the 1925s, and it was it caused a lot of problems. Basically, a large recession. And then after a day which was called Black Friday, the stock market crashed, and that was on October the 25th, and that was in 1929.
Certainly through the financial industry into some really difficult times after that.
Yeah, so Bosch decided, do you know what, we need to diversify our portfolio. A lot of our stuff was all in the automotive industry, but when we looked at what we had in our factories, there were loads of electronic, what became power tools, electronic tools.
Basically what they'd already made to build the electronics for the automotive industry.
That's right. So in 1932, we came out with the first, what we will call a professional power tool.
Yes.
And ironically, or not ironically, in relation to this particular live stream, that was a hammer. And I think you've got an example that we've taken out of our little museum.
I have one here. It's got a bit of weight to it. There you go. So quite a large, heavy bit of kit there.
That's drop safe.
Yes.
It's not safe for what you drop it on.
No.
That's going to survive a 2-meter fall, no problems. Yeah, so 1932, first Bosch hammer.
Yes, basically. This one's it's just a straight hammer. This is a breaker, but this was also available in a rotary hammer version as well.
Now, it's important to note, when it came to the accessory fitment, there were a lot of standards out there. Or there weren't many standards. They were all different types.
Yeah, each manufacturer would have a different method of fitting a chisel or a drill bit, when we were talking about rotary hammers, to their machines. So caused a bit of issue. Basically didn't give the customer the combination of being able to buy cheaper accessories from one brand or another. They were locked to brand, much the same as we are with batteries nowadays, but they were locked to brand when it comes to consumables like chisels.
Now, what we realised as we developed tools is we realised that there was a scope here to standardise the fitment of accessories to, lots of power tools, but in this case, we're looking at things like rotary hammers. After this and before we had what we know as SDS Plus, we had things like spline, for example.
There was the spline drive version, and in this case, we have almost like a hex drive version, if we can pop that off of there.
Very similar to how we run our heavier breakers and stuff now.
There you go. Actually, this one is a square drive, so you can see from the actual front of that it doesn't bear any resemblance really to any sort of SDS fitment that you would know today from cross brands.
So if it's 50 years today, that means that in 1975, a bunch of engineers, 12 engineers actually, from the Bosch R&D, decided to come up with a new standard of tool fitment for rotary hammers, and that's when SDS Plus was born.
Yes.
Have we got an example, Danny? You got one to make yours?
I have.
You've got a modern example.
This is a modern example, but the fitment is exactly the same as it was way back then. I don't know whether you can get a close up of this particular fitment here, but we've all seen SDS fitments and how they fit into rotary hammers and straight chisels. A common thing that you'd find in pretty much any retail environment when it comes to tools.
Yeah. So the name itself. Now shall I do it because I'm good at butchering German?
Yes, I'll leave that one to you.
I will you now. So SDS did stand for something. Strecken, Drachen, Schickern.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, it's easy. But instead of that, because my German is horrendous, even though I've worked at Bosch for many, many years, we decided that we'll make it a bit more easy. That was a German word for insert, twist, and secure.
Yes.
See, very much to the point, very German. But then later we decided to make that a bit easier for people like me that are terrible at pronouncing German, and we call it the SDS Special Direct System.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
And it's a lot easier for me to say. I'm sure there'll be people out there going, horrendous pronunciation.
Oh yeah, no, now be cursing.
Hey,
100%.
I'm not bothered. I know what I'm like. I know I'm terrible at it. Now, obviously, it's a live stream. Feel free to pop in the chat any other systems you may have used, because I know there's people out there that still use some of the older systems, and you're going back beyond 1975.
The thing is, the idea about the whole SDS system as well, the SDS Plus system, is it allows maybe one or two manufacturers that didn't come up with the actual SDS system to then innovate upon it, which has actually pushed innovation in that particular field a lot further, a lot faster.
Now, it's really important to remember here, 1975. That's before I was born, just a little bit. So I'm showing my age there. Yeah. There are a lot of things that were invented in the 70s
yes.
That are no longer with us. Say, for example, I don't know if I can mention it, the Walkman from a very popular brand. That came and went. That was from 1979.
Yep.
Good technology. Obviously, it's transformed into your MP3 players, but it no longer exists unless you're a real hipster and you're running cassettes, which also kind of disappeared. We've got things like the floppy disk back in 1971.
That's the 5-inch floppy disk, not, not even the little ones now.
The young'uns in the chat won't remember it, but I do. I still remember them when I was in school. We still used floppy drives for our IBMs at IBMs at the time. Even home VCR.
They've come and gone, kind of, but lest we forget about the Betamax system as well, which came and went before blink of an eye, really.
There might be some really hip people in the chat, old hip guys that may still be rocking a pager. But again, that was another bit of technology. We had the Motorola Page Boy 2 that came out in 1970s. No longer about.
Yeah, Laserdisc.
Definitely. I had
there's plenty of others.
So you can see there are loads of technologies out there in the 70s. Even things like the personal computer. Yeah, sure, we all have personal computers now, but they have transformed incredibly since. They're no longer recognizable. But one thing that hasn't changed, SDS Plus. 1975 to the modern day, we haven't changed it. And that's a testament, well, I think, to a really good invention.
Very much
so. Like I'm patting myself on the back on behalf of Bosch.
Yes.
But that just proves how good an innovation it was. I think there's only a few things that can claim the same title as SDS Plus. The Post-it note.
The Post-it note, really?
1974, unchanged. So we've got, and maybe the barcode, but I think barcodes have changed a little bit. So you can see there's very few things.
Maybe Biro.
Maybe, but Biro will be a bit older, actually. Yeah. So there are very few inventions that have, I guess you could say, test of time.
Yes. Yeah,
and let's be honest, SDS Plus is not something you're gentle with. So it's taken the abuse and it's stayed strong. And I guess the only thing that really changed is 10 years later when Bosch again got back to the drawing board and invented SDS Max.
I think that's
heavier duty.
Yeah, that's for when the machines got bigger and better and stronger and able to provide more joules of energy when it comes to braking materials. Then obviously they had to step up again. But again, reinvented the wheel when it came to SDS Max. So.
That's right. Yes. So in celebration of Bosch and its invention of SDS Plus in 1975, we've got a nice little video to roll. Let's play it.
Yes.
50 years, you can't have a birthday without balloons. Can't have a birthday without cake. So maybe some cake's going to get delivered as well.
Yes.
So we are obviously slowly getting up to speed in this live stream. we know that obviously we get a few people that join a little later, and often we run a little bit later than 5 p.m, a little late to start, but we realised that this was a really special live stream, so we wanted to get as much time as possible. We like to talk about a lot of products, and trust me,
We've got a lot of products.
a lot of new products have already come out as of the beginning of May. I think we're over 20, so we've got a lot of products to show in this particular live stream. We're going to do a little bit of what we call a top line introduction, but trust me, when it comes to some of the newer tools,
Especially the couple of ranges that we actually got entry level into certain different ranges, we're going to cover them later on in a specialist live stream.
yeah, they need the time really
Yeah.
to show exactly
Really drill down into the functions and basically what we're doing with them. So
accessories, applications,
Yes.
all of it. So I think we could spend a good amount of time on that. But before we move on, now we've got some people joining us. It's the 50th anniversary of STS Plus. We've done a little bit of the history of Bosch hammers and a little bit of the history leading up to the invention of the STS Plus standard. We've got some other little things that we've dug out of our little, what shall we call it, the museum.
Museum
to
or
show some good
archive,
examples.
yeah.
The first thing I'd like to show is the first ever, world's first ever cordless STS Plus hammer drill.
Yes, got one
Now
of
this
those
was a
there.
24 volt machine.
Yep. Very well respected machine even now.
GBH 24 VRE.
Yep, we have one here set up on a little.
Well, technically it was the V, but here we've got an example of the better one, the VRE.
This was the VRE. Yeah.
Yes. Now, remind me, NiCad,
This one's NiCad, yes.
as
Yeah.
opposed to what could have been nickel metal hydride that came out a little later.
Little later on the nickel metal hydride, but the cost of nickel metal hydride was so much more expensive.
Now, this is a great museum piece that our predecessors kept lovingly. I'm glad they didn't throw it out.
Probably should have blown the dust off of it
No.
before I put it on camera,
makes-
but
It looks legit.
it's authentic.
That's right, yes. Another thing we'd like to show you, which was actually donated by a viewer of ours, that again, I think he only donated it because he had upgraded, but he was running the machine down on the ground. I think he was still using it.
Yes, I've got the. If I pop the case up, you'll see. Obviously, the style change is a lot different from what we offer now.
Yeah.
However, and I was blown away by the condition of this machine, the fact that it's been around so long.
This is an example of a person that really looks after their tools.
That I'd say, I would be happy if I opened up a box now and took that out.
Yeah.
The cleanliness and the way that it's been taken care of, that's a spotless.
Yeah, so
spotless
thank you
machine.
very much, that gentleman who did, and he donated it quite a while ago. It's a few years ago.
Yeah.
He donated that to us. So we are obviously going to put that in our pride of place
Yes.
in our new training centre. We'll be giving you a nice workshop tour of that when we move in later on
yes,
this year.
yeah.
I think that's going to have an important part. Maybe that will be even maybe part of our SDS Plus stand.
Yes.
Yes.
I think so.
Okay, right. So not necessarily a little bit more about STS, and then we'll move on a little bit, because obviously if you've joined this live stream, hopefully you obviously want to see some new tools, and trust me, there are some really good, interesting tools just off the desk there, relevant to our new range of hammers and chuck technology. But what we should do is a little bit of a let's pat ourselves on the back in regards to the technology that we've created when it came to the SDS accessories.
Yeah, things have changed an awful lot since the original SDS Plus came about, especially with the technology when it comes into manufacturing drill bits and chisels. Obviously, to keep you using the accessories that you've paid for a lot longer, so you'll get more out for your money.
Now, over the course of, well, decades really,
Yeah.
we've got over 75 active patents when it comes to drilling technology as well as chiseling technology. Because we manufacture pretty much all of our accessories in-house.
Yeah, even our carbide and diamond is all manufactured in-house as well.
Yeah, there we've created we've improved upon things like our brazing and our laser welding technology, so to make that extremely robust and hard-wearing accessories.
A lot of that's patented now. So.
Now, 1975, as I said, that's STS Plus. Give it about 10 years to 1985. Then you're looking at the invention of STS Max. Okay, there's a few other things that obviously turned up. We had things like the S4 drill bits that came out in 1999. But for me, things like the self-sharpening chisel.
Yep, the Artec system when it comes to
Or Artec,
SDS Max,
or Artec in 2002, yes.
Yep.
And then a little bit later, we had the
self-sharpening for SDS Plus.
yeah, and that was out in 2005. So never idle, always innovating. In 2008, we came out with other technologies in regards to drill bits, such as the X5L, and that was a drill bit that helped deal with reinforced rebar in concrete.
Yes, we've got one of those here. I don't know whether you can see this on the close-up or maybe the overhead. But this is a steel shot little bit. Try and get that in shot there. There you go. You can see that just there. It's a steel shaft with carbide teeth. You've got one carbide tooth that runs from diagonally across the head, and 2 individual teeth either side. And this gives you the
Hold on, that camera's hunting
Yeah.
too much. Let me try putting it on its side like that.
yeah. You can see that
There
better.
you go.
Yeah, it's got one carbide tooth that runs corner to corner, and then 2 separate teeth either side, giving you basically a 4-cutter head. So steel shaft, 4-cutter head, and each one of those cutting heads has a flute to pull material back as well. So he's taking advantage of that faster material removal and keeping the cutting edge in contact constantly with the material that you're trying to drill through.
That's right, yeah.
The other advantage of a 4-cutter head is it won't, if you came into contact with rebar, for instance, inside a concrete wall, a reinforced concrete wall, it won't get caught down the side of it and jam. Instead, it will ride over it, and the carbide, being a tougher material than the rebar, will then cut through the rebar.
Yes. So we continued the innovation when it came to SDS with things like the SDS 5X and also the more modern, and one example we've got here, which was the SDS Plus 7X.
Yeah.
We've now gone to a full carbide head.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that on the similar camera here. There, you can see the blue section at the end there is actually laser welded to the steel shaft of the drill bit. 4-cutter head again, but that's a solid carbide head.
Now, if you were fortunate to come to any training that we do here in Denham, we obviously got some examples of just the carbide heads themselves.
Yes.
And you'll be surprised, the majority of the weight on a full carbide head cutter,
Yeah.
the whole bit, the weight's only in the head. The rest of the shaft is very
it's
light.
substantially heavy. It's an incredibly dense material, especially the way we make it. For Mohs hardness, I believe it's approaching the levels of diamond
Yes,
when
very
it
close.
comes to the internal structure.
So 7X was the SDS Plus standard. Then we had the SDS Max version, which was our SDS Max 8X. And now we've talked about that quite a lot as well on the live streams when we looked at our SDS Max hammers. And a little bit later, so that was in 2018.
Yep.
And around the same time, we also came out with the SDS Plus 9 Speed Clean. We've got an
Yes.
example there. Also in Plus and Max.
So
Next one, sorry.
Isn't it?
First one, that one.
Oh, you want the
Speed,
that one?
yeah.
Okay.
So the SDS Plus 9 Speed Clean was the
That's
original.
the plus 9, yes.
Yeah, the original hollow drill bit, we can call it as
Yes.
colloquially. Yeah.
Yep. We've got a couple of holes in the top surface here. That actually draws the. There you go. You can see them just on either side of the cutting head there. Similar to the single tooth running diagonally and the 2 separate teeth either side. So a 4-cutter head, but we also have the 2 holes there for dust extraction. The entire shaft is hollow, and the dust is then drawn out here into your suitable dust extractor.
Yeah, we had a friction fit adapter. Obviously, using the friction fit adapter would just squeeze
Yeah.
into there.
Just push it straight into there. That one's never been used, so it's a bit.
Yes. Now, we didn't want to, as always, rest on our laurels. We wanted to innovate, and the SDS Plus 9 had a slight drawback,
There's a
especially
couple of-
when working in
there's-
early age concrete.
There's a couple of drawbacks. I mean, obviously, that came along when people started to understand more of the risks of silica and what that can actually do to the inside of your body. So, very strong product at the time. However, if you were to use this on early age concrete or concrete which broke up into small particles that could get stuck in it,
Or stone.
yeah, or stone, there's no way of actually cleaning that out properly because it's a steel cast shaft. So they were quite expensive,
Yeah, they were.
and if they became blocked, you kind of had to throw them away. There's not really much else you can do unless it got stuck right at the front where you could get to it. There's not really much else you can do.
And if it got stuck at the front, there's a good chance by the time you've noticed,
It's further down the shaft.
or you've welded and melted it in, so it's not coming out. So that bit, unfortunately, was done. So we decided we're not happy with that. We want to constantly innovate, and we wanted to supply a better accessory for you, our user. So we came out with a new standard, the SDS Clean Plus 8X and the SDS Clean Max 8X.
Yeah, this is one we've covered before. It takes all the technology from the 7X full carbide head drill bit that we talked about before. However, now we are not extracting the dust down the centre of the drill bit. There is a collar that sits around the outside, this one here, which maintains the diameter of the hole. And the sides of the drill bit here are cast narrower so the dust can be extracted directly down the outside of the drill bit.
Yeah. Notice, or if you haven't noticed, nice blue tip on the front there.
Yep.
So as opposed to the Speed 9, we've got the same full carbide head we had with the 7X and the 8X bits. So you've got all that advantage. Danny pointed out you can remove all the bits, and also when you need to repurchase your bit and the cylindrical shaft.
Like any drill bit, it's going to wear out over time, a long time, mind you.
Yeah.
However, if you're grinding dust into the center of this may over time wear. So you can purchase those two pieces separately.
Yeah, and save a little bit of money because there's no need to replace that. You just buy this as a set and reuse the adapter for your dust extractor.
Yeah, nice and easy. Easy to put back together. Just make sure it locks in there. A little bit of movement. Pop the end back on there. And away you go again.
Now, when it came to different types of accessories, when it comes to the SDS Plus and Max range, we also had this thing that we haven't shown enough on the live streams.
No.
So this is for your much smaller applications, and you can see it's slightly different compared to the one with the metal collar.
Yeah.
You've got the example here, which is now your SDS Plus from 6mm up to 10mm. The design's slightly different. So you, instead of it having a cylinder here that the dust slides down the outside of the drill bit, you've got a little collar here. And then if I rotate it, let's go to the overhead very quickly. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just about see. It's very small bits.
Yeah.
There you go. You can just see there's little channels here that allow the drill bit to go down the side of what is essentially a fixed tube here.
Yes.
So it doesn't. So that rotates as the drill bit rotates. You see it's sprung. So the little cup here will sit. I'll turn around this way. Will sit up against the substrate that you're drilling into, and as you drill through, you're keeping that in contact.
That's basically just to maintain the suction within the hole. That also, when you pull the drill bit back out again, if you tilt the machine down, you can catch even the tiniest pieces of concrete or stones that have fallen out, and then just drop them to one side. It's the fine stuff, the stuff that can be blown up into the air for an hour or 2 hours, maybe more, depending on the airflow in the room. That's what you've got to worry about. The larger stones, I mean, they're just going to fall to the floor anyway.
Yeah. When it comes to the SDS Plus clean bits, we went from, I think it's 12mm up to 20mm, and then the maxes we went from 20 to 32mm.
Yeah.
Got an example of one of the larger ones there.
I think I've got you covered with this one here.
Yes. So
Obviously
if you need, well, I mean, that's pretty heavy.
Yes.
You might do yourself a hernia if you're not careful, you're not
Yeah.
well trained, of course. But obviously, if you're drilling really big anchor points, what's that, 32?
This is the 32.
The biggest one we do. So if you're drilling really big anchor points, again, health and safety is important, but also hole preparation, making sure the hole is clean for your chemical anchoring, then you can skip a lot of
It
steps.
takes care of everything in one. You drill the hole, you're ready for chemical anchoring. There's no blowing dust out the hole. There's no trying to catch that to prevent you from inhaling it. It's all here.
Yeah, I mean, we
thing.
claim up to 25 times less dust thanks to this particle control system that we've got.
I think that's probably a conservative figure as well.
Yeah, I mean,
but
when we do demos, I think we can't say it, but it looks like none.
none. It does look nice.
Because you, as I think Danny said that already, you're collecting dust at the absolute point of creation.
You couldn't get any closer.
Yeah, exactly. No. Okay, right. So we've covered a lot about SDS. I think we've celebrated the 50th year.
I think we have.
Bring these balloons off stage for a little bit.
Yeah.
But before we finish, or while we move the balloons, you know what we've got? Just to illustrate how good, especially the new 6 to 10mm SDS Clean 8X bits, we've got a nice little video that we can play for you. Okay, so the birthday bit's done.
Yep.
Now, hopefully we've given you enough time to join the stream. We know there's plenty of people that take a little bit of time to join on. So we didn't want to get into it too quickly because we don't want those people that can't get online straight away missing out on essentially the best bit, the new tools. So before we get any further, Tim, have you got any questions for us?
Yes, I have a few questions already. The Danish Carpenter says, I would like to know when the new rear handle circular saw is coming to the EU. It is out in the USA.
Now, so this was, I think we call it a worm drive style. Now, we did see a marking sample of that.
Yes.
But I don't know if we were going to bring it out.
I don't think we're going to bring it to the UK.
No, I think the problem here is, I think it's just not as popular here.
I think it's just numbers.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's numbers.
It
It obviously takes money to bring it into the country and then store it in a warehouse space. And if we don't feel that there's the market there to be able to sell it in sufficient quantities, then it probably won't be bought into the country. Saying that though, if there's enough requests, maybe through a live stream,
Exactly.
we can change that.
We have changed that for many products by
Yes.
showing the product managers that there is a demand in the UK for a certain product that might be elsewhere. And there's a few of them that we'll be talking about in this live stream as well. We've brought it to the UK, or we've got it brought to Europe because of the feedback from people like you.
That's it.
It would be interesting to know why you would want a rear handle worm drive style saw. I'm obviously aware that it's very popular in America, and a lot of that is the way that they have their sheet material shipped.
Saying that, I used the sample and it's actually a really comfortable machine to use.
It absolutely is. But my understanding is it's, again, because of sometimes how maybe the American tradesmen, they obviously work with a lot of timber and they get their sheet material delivered in a certain way. When they're cutting the material, it is really, I think they cut down, I think they cut up and down, I believe. And it's very comfortable for them to use. It's the same kind of concept and why we have D-shaped drills are very popular in America too, because they like to work at height. They like bending down necessarily. So it's a good question. We don't have an answer exactly why. We're making an assumption it's volume. But please feel free. Let us know why you would want that tool coming into the UK, and let's try and get some rationale why we could bring it to the UK.
That's another advantage of having the live streams is if there's something that you do want that we currently don't do or we don't do in the EU or the European area, EU's the wrong word, then now is the time and the place to pop a comment under the video after it becomes a video or in the chat here.
That's right. Okay, any more questions, Tim?
Yes, we still have a few questions. Jakey is looking to buy a robust drill. He's asking what the difference is between the GSR 18V-60 against the GSR 18V EC. They look the same, but there's a huge difference in price.
I'd assume the EC, that's the old, the EC is the cheaper machine because that is a substantially older machine. What's the difference fundamentally? Performance. But if the specs will be similar, the biggest difference by far is the 60 has kickback control.
Yes.
And might not think that's an important feature, but if you've broken or sprained your wrist or hit yourself in the face when you've lost control of that, which believe it or not can happen quite a lot, that's a great feature to have. There are, I think also, they're both brushless. The 60 is just a more modern machine. So if it's not the specs you're needing, and if you don't need kickback control, although I thoroughly recommend it, the 60 is a much newer machine. And ironically, also discontinued. So if you are wanting to buy a machine in that price range and that caliber, I would really consider having a look at there's a GSR, wasn't it? Either the GSR 90 or maybe you want to have a look at the brand new 65.
Yes,
also
65.
has kickback control.
Yeah, that's a very good machine, yeah.
And so you'll be looking at machines all in a similar performance range, but those are now the more modern variants. Okay.
Kickback on the 65 is lovely.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Tim, any more questions, please, mate?
Yes. PF Cutters asks, when are we getting a 12-volt rotary hammer?
Good man. We're going to show you something in a minute, okay, that might change your mind on a 12-volt rotary hammer. So just stay tuned.
Don't worry, PF Cutters, I'm banging the drum for you every time I get the opportunity.
But that's good. That's what we want you. We want you to keep on banging that drum. If you stop banging that drum, we'll forget about it.
Yeah.
That's a promise.
Yeah.
Any other, Tim, or should we move on?
Yep. One final question for now. Faina asks, any plans to release a pre-cyclone? Competitors have done it, but they don't like the colours on the competitors' versions.
I haven't heard anything regarding a pre-cyclone at all. Not on the launch maps that I've seen so far. It would be nice to have one, definitely.
There's a lot of fast development of tools coming out. There's a lot of tools that are literally appearing on our desk, marketing samples, prototypes, that we have heard nothing about.
We do have.
And they just turn up.
We do have some new extractors coming. In fact, there's one of them released currently, I believe.
There was one that snuck through.
Yes.
We will include that in maybe the next Q&A live stream.
Yes, I think so.
Because we haven't factored it in this one, just because stock's not quite there yet, or more accurately, it's not in distribution yet.
Yeah.
But by the time we have the next live stream, that should be easily
Yes.
orderable through your dealers.
Yeah. But no, as far as pre-cyclones, nothing, unfortunately, at the moment. Not that we've seen, anyway. But saying that, sometimes we get a bit blindsided by things. But
True, that's true.
always got an idea to keep in touch with us, keep watching the live streams. If you're going to hear about anything, you're going to hear about it from us first.
All right, okay, yes. I saw some comments in the chat as well saying, what's taking so long? Mate, have you not joined a live stream before? They are long. And this is going to be, I think we teased in our trailer, this is going to be a long one. So make a cup of tea, get sat down,
Yep.
okay? We're making sure we're padding out a little bit to make sure everyone's nice and comfortable. But we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this live stream now. But we have got a lot of tools. A lot of tools.
We do.
We started today obviously talking about the 50-year anniversary of SDS Plus, and it's quite fortunate as well because we've got a bunch of machines that we are absolutely desperate to talk about. So the first machine we want to talk about, which are rotary hammers.
Yes.
But what do we say, Dan? We invented SDS and SDS Max, but we thought, do you know what? Let's
Shake things up a little
Let's
bit.
do something a bit different. I've got a machine here, an existing machine.
That's the 26, I believe.
No, I went bigger.
Oh, you went big for the 28.
I went for one of my favourite machines. So if you want a machine that competes with a 36-volt machine,
Yeah.
but is running an 18-volt battery, then the GBH 18V-28, this
Yep.
is now the CF,
Yes.
right? This is a great machine. The reason why I'm showing this, and it's not a new machine, is because I want to talk about what do you do when you have an SDS hammer, but you want to run straight shank.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got a bit of drilling in wood that you want to do, rebate for mortises, that sort of type of thing. Then typically you'd have to pick up a different machine. Or in the case of this, you've got that bit. So you can pop the SDS chuck off and allow yourself to do some straight shank drilling. So,
3-jaw chuck.
yep, plenty of power there, good quality battery, nice long run time. No hammer function on the drill attachment though. Because of the way it's designed, it holds the drill bit away from the striker.
Yeah. Now, if you don't have or you didn't purchase a machine with the F chuck, the replaceable chuck models, or there is no replaceable chuck version in that power class.
Even if you wanted to do hammer drilling in, I don't know what you would, but with a straight shank bit, usually you go for an SDS or something like this. But if you had a straight shank bit that you wanted to use in this and take advantage of the hammer action, then this would be the attachment.
That's right. But if you don't have that, then you could, if you wanted to, it's subpar, but you could get an accessory, so an SDS attachment with a 3-jaw chuck on the
And
front.
that would transmit the hammer through the actual mechanism itself. Looks a bit ungainly,
It looks hideous, mate.
but it would still offer the same amount.
I mean,
of
if I was
usability.
on site, I might bully you for this ugly, but that's what you'd have to do, right? And that's fine. Okay, so we've set the scene. We're going to get rid of this. So, Danny, what have we got?
Right, so we'll start off with, I believe, the 18 version. This is the GSB 18V-18X.
A lot of 18s. Correct. So, GBH 18V-18X. What makes it an X?
It's a hybrid,
Yes.
as mostly when we use the term X makes it hybrid, like the GAX charger, which takes 2 voltages. This one will take an SDS drill bit and also a straight shank drill bit and also a hex drill bit,
That's
should
right.
you need to use them.
Now, we refer to this, and you may have seen it floating around the internet, the one chuck.
The one chuck.
So we weren't happy with just inventing SDS Max. We wanted to reinvent a chuck.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have a requirement to run both SDS Plus, straight shank and hex shank, this one machine might be it for you. Now the machine itself is an 18-volt brushless machine with the ability to drill up to a maximum diameter of 18 millimeters in concrete.
Surprisingly compact and lightweight machine, really comfortable to use.
1.6 kilograms without a battery, and as you can see, I'm not a particularly meaty bloke, but that is tiny. It weighs nothing. So if you're working overhead, you've had a late night, you're feeling a bit tired, you've hit the gym, you've neglected leg day.
You've done leg day, but not arm day.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, neglected arm day. Or the inverse, you've neglected leg day and you've overworked arm day.
Yes.
And you're feeling a bit weak. 1.6 kilograms is nothing at all. With a little battery on that, well, the compact battery doesn't weigh anything either.
Exactly. 1.5 joules of impact energy out of that as well. So a considerable whack when it comes to braking.
That's right. And another really great feature is the fact that this has both a vibration reduction, so you can see at the back here, a little bit of vibration reduction. And may I demo it? I love demoing.
Yep.
Also has, let's go to cut to a wider camera just to show it all its glory.
Kickback.
Tiny little 1.6 kilogram STS rotary hammer with kickback control.
That's it. I was waiting for you to say it.
I'm not going to say protection anymore. Kickback control. So again, if you are working in concrete and you hit something, say rebar or a stone, if you're working in masonry, machine catches, drill bit binds, that machine rotates out of control. That electronic that electronic sensor will vastly help reduce the chance of you getting an injury.
It will certainly step in quicker than you can comprehend what's happened.
And I know what you're going to do if you bought this machine. The first thing you do is you're going to try and remove that auxiliary handle.
Yeah.
And you're going to run it tiny, like a little pistol, pop that in your back pocket,
You
try and use it one-handed.
You almost want a holster. It's really nice, small, compact machine.
Right, so we've talked about the specs of it. We're not going to get too much into detail because we need to get on. But Dan, I think it's worth you demoing exactly how the one chuck works.
I can certainly do that. So SDS Plus drill bit, this is the one we were looking at earlier. If you open up the chuck fully, the 3-jaw chuck that's in the front section, this just pops in and locks in. So there you have your SDS attachment. So easy as that.
Okay.
To remove it, don't know why I put the depth thing on there because that's in the way. There you go. To remove it, pull this rear collar back, same as you would on an SDS Plus machine. That's back, and the SDS drill bit pulls out there. Now, when it comes to straight shank, bear in mind this is a 10mm chuck on the front here, so maximum of 10mm diameter drill bits. If I get a straight shank one here, this has got, I think this is probably about 5. So I can wind this down, and you'll see that eventually, could take some time, the 3 jaws will close in there, and that'll allow you to clamp, he says. There you go. So hold the back section, oops, tighten that up, lock it back one, as you would do with any auto lock chuck, and there you have straight shank drill bit.
Now we know what you're like. You'll try and stick that normal straight shank as deep as you can, and then lock it down, then try and use the hammer mode. Don't worry, we've made sure that you can't do that. Luckily it's mechanically eyesight, so you are not at risk of accidentally blowing your chuck with the SDS hammer function with a straight shank.
In reality, if you want to hammer drill with this machine, you get an SDS drill bit.
Correct.
If you want to do straight drilling, perfect example here with the multi-construction drill bit, you don't need the hammer because of the carbide head. Then this is the ideal solution for you.
And I don't think you need to show it, but obviously if it takes a cylindrical shank, it will take a hex shank drill bit like this other multi-construction bit that we've got here.
There you go.
You're going to do it? And obviously the SDS, sorry, not the SDS, the hex shank again is even better when it comes to grip with the 3 jaws, so you can get a more positive grip on that.
So there you go. Simple as that.
Yeah, so if you're running SDS Plus, cylindrical shank, or hex shank drill bits, this nice tidy little package will run them all for you.
Exactly.
A nice optimal range, well, we say about 18mm in concrete max. Again, this is very happy doing your usual 6 to, let's say, 10, 12mm, no problems. But you can punch out to 18 if necessary. It will do a maximum drilling diameter in metal of 10mm. And if you are wanting this to use for wood bits, I guess, you've got enough torque to do up to 18mm. So you've got a really great, I mean, you could call this almost a combi. A combi of hammers.
Yes,
because it does a lot of different things.
Granted, still banging the drum for that 12 volt. However, this is a really good solution.
One thing to note, this because we're quite common, or we're very used to saying all of our SDS rotary hammers are for function. We'd always have rotary drilling, hammer drilling, vario lock mode, and chiseling. It's important to note for this model and the one coming up in a minute, it only has 2 functions. So you see here, you have your rotary drilling, and then we have our rotary hammer drilling. Yeah. And I think you'll be asking a bit too much to have this as a chisel.
Yeah, as a breaker, I think the vibrations are going to be quite considerable, considering you're a lot closer to the actual working surface.
Yeah, at 1.5 joules, excellent for drilling up to those diameters in concrete, as we described. You might find it a little tiresome trying to use it as a straight chisel on its as a chisel machine.
I think
So
you'd be there quite a while,
we've
yeah.
decided that we're not going to have that function.
Yeah.
Instead, we obviously recommend you move up to a slightly different machine. Talking about different machines, if you do not want the one chuck, I don't know why you would not want the one chuck, then we also do an SDS Plus variant.
There you go.
Just realised I got my numbers wrong, mixed up a little bit, because obviously this is the heavier two. So this is actually a little heavier at 1.8. It doesn't feel it.
It's only because of the tool holder's
Exactly,
a little bit
yeah.
longer. You're going to get a little bit more.
This one will be the 1.6 because it's
Yeah.
smaller. Yeah.
That's it.
So
Again, exactly the same usability as that. Slightly lower joules, I believe.
no,
Or is this actually the same on this one?
Yeah,
Okay.
still 1.5.
But just the SDS attachment as well. So that gives you, if you just wanted an SDS solution to use a compact battery on for lighter duty tasks, this is the one for you. If you want, I'd go for the one chuck personally.
Yeah. 254 millimeters versus, because obviously the one chuck's slightly longer, 279. But they're already really tiny. So you
I'm
can
glad
pick and
one
choose
of
what
us
you
is
like.
remembering that.
It's all in here somewhere. It could be right, could be wrong. I'm sure it's right.
I'm sure it's right.
Somewhere in all of my nugget, it's all the information. Now, before we move on from the one chucks, it's important to note. Let's bring out a machine that we launched quite a while ago. I think it was my product of the year last year.
It was,
Or
yes.
was it the year before? I can't
You
remember.
unwrapped this one for the Christmas live stream. This is the GBH 18V-22. Again, been around a while. Kickback, same as the last machine. Vibration control, same as the last machine.
Yeah. Well, this set the standard for the smaller
It
machines.
certainly
didn't it?
did, yes. Very, very popular due to its compact size. That's why I think the 18 is going to do really well.
It is. Right, so this machine's established. Do you know what would improve this? What do you reckon?
I reckon the ability to fit an onboard dust extractor.
Well, that obviously is really good. But what I was going
I know what you. I know what
meant
you're going
that. I
for.
meant that one over there.
Yeah.
So
So
what?
many different things got going. For
I know. So what could you do to improve what I already think is an outstanding compact hammer that drills
Yep.
a maximum diameter of 22 millimeter concrete? Why?
I reckon you could whack a one chuck on that.
Yeah,
So again, you've got now you've got the flexibility. Same restrictions when it comes to the maximum drilling diameter on this. So 10 millimeter. However, exactly the same mechanism.
Yeah. Guess what? The name's easy. We've just put it on the screen there. GBH 18V-22 and X.
X for hybrid.
Yes. Now the performance of this one is actually a little bit better compared
the
to the
one
22.
yeah.
This is what surprises me. The original 22, just put it on the floor there,
Yeah.
that was 1.9 joules of pneumatic energy. The one chuck variant actually punches just that tiny little bit more.
0.1 of a joule extra.
So you get 2 joules of pneumatic energy out of this. And I think, I'm pretty sure we've added a bit more of a torquier motor in here. So actually you can drill a little bit larger diameters in wood. So from 20 millimeter now up to 26 millimeters.
Yeah.
So
Quite impressive, really.
that's what you want. And again, the one chuck does facilitate drilling into wood a little bit easier. You've got access to more accessories that way. So if that is what you're looking for, the 22X model is a good choice. Now you hinted at it. Dust,
Yes.
onboard dust extraction. As it is the
Oh, that's gone for a
22
walk.
model, this means it is compatible with this little gadget here.
Yes, the GDE 12.
Oh yes, 18V-12.
Yeah.
It's the GDE 12,
Yeah,
of course it is, yes. Now we've shown this many times in the past. It's one of my favorite things. We've got a variant of this onboard dust extraction for other machines, but this one is dedicated for the 22 models. I'll just open the
Side
auxiliary head
handles
up
away.
a bit. Yep.
There you go.
Okay. And that's what you need to do. Now the machine's
That's it.
engaged. The electrical contacts are attached to the extractor, the dust collector, and then
There you go.
now you may or may not hear that because I know that our mics sometimes cancel some noise like that, but all you need to do is plug it together and now the GDE 18V-12 is running off the power tool battery via the contacts in the front, helping reduce, and I say helping, again, I'm being conservative again, helping reduce the amount of dust produced or released into the air. It does a really
I'm
good job of
always
collecting
surprised by the amount of dust that you get produced by just using a regular drill bit. With this, there's virtually none. Not that you can see anyway.
that. So, what would I say about the GBH 18V-22X? It's 22 and some.
Yes.
Okay, right. Now we should move on to the next category, a category that I know plenty of you are desperate to see.
Yes.
But before we do that, I'm sure Tim's got some questions. So let's go to Tim.
Yes, we do indeed have some questions. Adam Carpenter says laser levels. Is there a new green laser 12 volt with a plumb dot? If so, what is it called?
It'd be a GCL.
12 volt GCL. I don't think we've got a GCL. We brought out a 2-line laser with the extended window, so you've got a wider frame of wider throw on the horizontal laser, and then we brought out the 3-line laser. So at the moment, I don't believe we've got a new GCL. Instead, what we did is we brought out a new plain laser, 360 laser, which obviously produces the plumb up and down with crosses, but not a plumb point laser.
Yeah.
Is there one coming out? Maybe, but Mario hasn't said anything to me.
No, I will say though that measuring tools are the prime culprits of things just turning up, aren't they? We don't really get much in the way of notice about them, and then all of a sudden, bam, there it is, brand new machine. So, yeah, as soon as we know that there's one coming, then watch one of the new launch live streams like today, and you'll find out.
I'll have a look, and if I find anything, I'll be happy to. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. Ask the question again after the live stream's finished in the comments, and what I'll do is then I'll reply to you if I have any information about the roadmap on a GCL 12V. Okay. Any other questions, Tim?
Yes, Exolotl asks if there are any new plans for X-Lock. He would love to see a 125mm diamond grinding cup wheel or a 180mm machine.
Oh,
I know of some accessories.
I don't know if it's X-Lock though.
No, I don't know if it's X-Lock.
There are some accessories and some machines, right?
Yes.
Can't tell you too much. Yes, it would be good if there's some expansion of the X-Lock accessories. Something that might not have been noticed, and I feel like I want to run to my office and grab it, is the carbide grinding cup or wheel.
Not diamond, but carbide again. And we're saying with carbide is we're able to produce that at a really hard structure.
So that for me, that's almost a wood rasp, or similar to a wood rasp.
Yeah, you can use it on metal. You can use it on metal as well.
Exactly. If I have time, I might rush off and go and grab it from the office to bring it.
Some really interesting design features on that as well, which make it really useful.
Yeah,
bit of kit.
but that's the only recent X-Lock accessory that I've seen come out recently. But that doesn't mean we're not developing anything. It's just at the moment that's all I've seen.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions, Tim?
Yes, we've got 2 questions from PF Cutters.
Only 2?
2 so far.
Oh, come on, mate. You can do better.
What about info on the GNH 18V-35 supposed pin nailer and the GTH 18V14 pin stapler?
I'm convinced he sneaks into the
I
office
think
at night.
he peeps in the window.
We've got no windows. How does he do it? He's in the you're in the air conditioning.
He's in the eaves.
He's in the roof. Yeah. Looks like. Yes.
Way to commit.
Yes, I think what you're looking there is a number of products that will be coming to the range very shortly. Maybe if we're lucky, it'll come out this year. Otherwise, I would imagine definitely at the beginning of next year.
Put it this way, I've not had a chance to try them yet.
Yes, we've got so many new tools that we want to talk about today, and tools that are coming out that we can't even try them all. There's so many. So I think
we actually, to say that, we took the tools off of the new wall that we have in our workshop to put in here for the live stream. And so much stuff turned up today that we've refilled the new wall. Now we've got to find space to put all this lot back in there again. So yeah.
So in regards to expanding the nailer range, Danny and I have promised that there's definitely stuff coming, and those 2 tools may or may not be part of it. Okay. Second question from Mr. PF.
Yes, he also asks, can you tell us about the up-and-coming 18-volt threaded rod cutter, the GGC 18V12?
Now I have played with it.
He has. Look, I'm going to check the cupboards.
Yeah.
Check that you're not in there, mate. That is correct. There might be a product that has arrived, and it's already just gone onto our new wall, and it might be a thread rod cutter.
It might be really, really, really good.
It might be absolutely spot on. Again, so we get closer to any launch dates for products that are coming out, maybe this year. Then we can talk about that then.
Yes.
You have to wait at least a few months, mate. So, yeah. Tim, should we move on, or any more questions, mate?
One final question for now. A lot of people have been asking this in the chat. When will those in the US get the new tools? The small one-handed chainsaw would be good as soon as possible.
When it comes to US launches, unfortunately, it's a completely separate process to us. Obviously, we all share the same language.
Yeah.
We're obviously culturally quite similar, but the markets are very different, and it's
when we said earlier about bringing machines into a market, if there's given, if we know that we're going to be able to sell them, same thing I'm assuming would happen over in the States. They need to know that there's a market for them before they will start selling them. So I would say if you're over in the States, contact your local, or not local, but your regional Bosch dealer, maybe even your regional Bosch trainer, and speak to them, and they can raise concerns about whether it's something that you'll find useful in your region.
That's right. And don't worry, we are very happy to have you on our live stream as well. I don't know what time it is in your area, but we are more than happy to pass the information on as well. So just keep it coming. Let us know what you are wanting, even if it's a different market, especially the US market, and we'll do our best to put pressure on and at least communicate what you guys are really wanting. In regards to those pruning saws, if you want to see more about those, just stay to the end of this live stream and we're going to show the 2 new models coming out in the UK.
Bear in mind, it's not just you guys out there that watch the live streams. We've even got guys from around the world who we deal with in the training community that also watch the live streams as well. So even if you put it in the comments here or in the comments of the video, they're still going to find out about it.
That's right. Okay, so moving on to a product that I absolutely know you guys are raring to see. You've been pestering me, Danny and I, for these products for many years.
I may have let it slip a little bit on one of the plumber parts live stream that we did. A few.
Well, we showed it. We showed it in the teaser. So
we have said in the teaser as well. But yeah, we've mentioned about it.
Right. So first machine I want to show you is this little bad boy. That's right. Finally, we've got an 18-volt wrench.
Yep. The GRC 18V-60.
What is it? It's a ratchet, lad.
Yes.
Now, did we bring any 18-volt batteries?
I believe I did. I've hidden one over here somewhere. There you go.
Yes, perfect.
Oh, it's only a 2 amp hour, but that's plenty.
That's fine. That's fine. That's more than enough. There we go. That looks prettier. That looks more like it now. Okay, so what we've got here is a entirely new product to the range. We haven't had an 18-volt. Well, we actually haven't had a professional ratchet. We had Air Tools in the past.
Yes.
Or
they came under professional as well, but
of course,
a different branch.
But not running on the 18-volt battery platform. So here we have the GRC 18V60. 60 is the maximum amount of torque.
Yeah.
Okay. New naming structure because we haven't had a GRC, so I can always remember it's ratchet. So at least I can remember it.
I'm sure it has a German translation that makes perfect sense.
Of course it does. And I think if we haven't mentioned it already, it is 3/8.
3/8 drive, yes. So perfect for your automotive industry, even your assembly industry. Well, any situation where you're going to use a 3/8 socket, basically.
Yeah, the controls are really straightforward. It is 363 millimeters in total length. It's nice and slim. It has a straightforward locking and unlocking switch at the bottom there, so you don't accidentally set that off. And then you've got a nice variable speed trigger.
Yeah.
In addition to the variable speed trigger, we also have a little control interface on the back here with 3 presets, 3 speed settings. That will get you up to a maximum load speed of 400 RPM.
Yeah.
And that will also allow you to get up to that maximum torque of 60 Newton meters.
Yeah. Fully mechanical head on this as well. So this is taken from the air tool industry anyway. So again, it's a really reliable, established design for a ratchet head.
Yes, one of the main key features on this particular ratchet compared to maybe some others in the market is a very small head as well.
Yes.
So that's what you need these tools for. I've got the long socket here, but I can imagine if we've got a short socket, maybe we do. Maybe on one of the accessory packs, you can see we can get it really, really small. Yeah, that'll do.
There you go. What do you want?
Cool.
17. There you go. Actually, it's worth putting these out on the front here and showing you these anyway. So we do now have a full range of impact sockets, 3/8, ½ inch, 1/4 inch as well.
All the ones
3/4.
Yeah, all the ones we currently have machines to drive.
Yeah, so actually the 1/4 inch we don't have a machine to drive that, but we do arrange sockets for those as well.
That's true. If I cut to the overhead very quickly, again, I just wanted to put one of the shallow sockets on. Yep, cool. Not that way around, sorry. You can see here, small head, very good clearance. In fact, if you run a bigger battery, I think the battery's going to be wide. The widest part is probably going to be more the trigger than the actual head itself.
I mean, the main sort of dimension that you're going to be concerned about is this one here, and maybe the width of the handle and how tighter spaces you can get it into.
Yeah, but again, a really nice, comfortable, ergonomic grip. I mean, hopefully it's exactly what you wanted from us. runs, so obviously designed mostly to run M8s, but it can easily go up to a maximum of M12, which is
Yeah.
more than enough for your usual applications.
And we know full well that you're probably going to exceed that anyway. So
Of course we are. I think the demonstration we're going to do is exceeding that.
I think it probably is actually.
Okay, right. Okay, so 18-volt ratchets. We've covered all the main points. It's a relatively straightforward tool to use. You don't want it to be too complicated. You just want it to get the job done. Those 3 speed settings allow you to control have some level of control over the torque, and obviously that's so speed 1. Maybe you'll be using that to do things smaller than M6.
Yep.
Go up to speed 2. That'd be your like M6 to M8, and then perhaps maybe you can run speed 3 to run your bigger M8s to 12s. But I know that you're just going to probably smack it on full speed. Maybe you're not even going to use the variable trigger and just gung-ho. But you've got that functionality if you so choose to use it.
This also cuts out when you reach maximum torque as well. So you're not going to get dragged around with the ratchet. And I mean, we've all done it. If we've used ratchets before, you get pinned up against something. Not particularly comfortable, is it? But this is designed to prevent from that as well.
Okay. Now, I've got another product. Now, this is both Danny and I's. This could be a contender for our favourite tool of the year.
I have extensively used this next one at home, has to be said. I've put it through a fair bit of abuse, to be fair, and it just keeps going. Absolutely amazing bit of kit. There you go. That's the GRC 12V-60 3/8 drive. Again, 3/8 drive ratchet. Again, takes advantage of the 3/8 sockets that we do as well. Such a compact, powerful machine.
Yep. So as you can see, the naming structure is the same. So 60 Newton meters of torque, running that 3/8 drive. But because it's 12 volt, we can make it substantially smaller. And we've also taken the advantage to add a bit more metal in it. So it's a solid bit of kit.
Doesn't have the speed control, the 3 selection mode wheels, but in reality, to keep the size down, it's just got that really sensitive variable trigger on it.
Yeah, it's down here. Yeah. Now this is also brushless. The 18 volt was brushless, as you'd expect nowadays, or the majority, pretty much everything we launch now is going to be brushless. That keeps this compact, but also very powerful. But it's a solid bit of kit. Similar controls. Obviously, you've got your paddle switch on the bottom here for variable speed control. And you've got your lock and unlock function on the bottom there. Got a nice little LED on the front, which I neglected to show on the 18 volt one. There you go. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, we've even added little bumpers on the top there so it doesn't roll away.
That's invaluable on its own.
So we're referring to these little horns on the back, so it sits nice and steady there.
That's it.
It's not focusing on it, but you can see that there.
Yeah. I like the hint that this part here is actually held on by a nut. So at some point in the future, I'm really hoping they do a longer head for it. But this is perfect for an entry to a system which can then be worked upon.
Yep. As it's just like our other battery systems, it's 12 volt, but that means it's compatible with our entire range of 12 volt batteries. So if you want to run a double stack battery,
you can. I can speak from reference that it does limit the ability to get it into tight spaces to a certain degree, as you'd expect, it being a wider footprint battery. However, it works perfectly well on a 2 or a 3 amp hour battery without any problems at all.
I think
it's not a heavy demand machine, so it doesn't flatten the battery particularly quickly either.
No, do you know what? Just to save time, we obviously want to do a quick demonstration, but I think the 12 volts is the one I want to demonstrate the most. If you want to do a quick demo, Dan, grab the little
You've left
little
me
board.
all of the heavy stuff today.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I've got the big heavy machines to pick up. You just got that little thing.
There you go. So shout out to Avatar, who's actually put this together for us, so we can test these machines.
Now, again, we are aware that sometimes with our microphones you can't hear when the machines are running. Hopefully you can still see that it's running. You'll see that once it tightens on, or once it snugs up, you'll see the machine just catch, but you'll see how quickly the electronic motor switches off there.
It's worth mentioning as well, you can use this as a regular ratchet to either break off a nut to remove beforehand, or to give it a little bit of a tweak afterwards should you need to. But to be honest with you, 60 Newton meters is plenty out of something like this. Right, so there you go, on this one. There you go.
That's all you need. That's all you want. That's it.
Full speed and then done. Pop to undo, And there you go. We just give it a undo it. There you go.
Okay, so if you're in the market and you've been pestering Danny and I for 18 or 12 volt ratchet, please let us know in the chat whether or not this has tickled your fancy. Whether or not this has scratched your itch, let us know in the comments. If you're not watching this live, feel free to pop in the comments whether or not we've made you happy. And I would like to...
Certainly made me happy anyway.
I would like to argue, I don't know if you can take all the credit, but I can tell you that the feedback from all our loyal UK live stream followers definitely put a lot of pressure on the product teams to get this product R&D, because I think you've been asking for this product for at least as long as Danny and I have taken over the trainer role. So for about 3.5 years, nearly 4 years, you've been saying ratchet, ratchet, ratchet.
I mean, I come from the motor industry myself, so yeah, it's a no-brainer. We needed to have this in the range.
Okay, so so you can say yes or no, Tim. Have we got any questions, or should we move to the next product?
We have a few questions.
Yeah, let's do that while we reset the room.
I thought we would.
Yeah. What have you got?
Faina asks, are there any plans for an 18 volt drain auger, an 18 volt pro pressure washer, and an 18 volt air compressor?
What can we say? What can we say? Plans? Maybe.
You've been in Germany more recently than I have.
Yes, but they keep it
I'm
very
going to throw that question
No,
over to you.
but they keep quiet now because they've realised that I'm a bit of a blabbermouth. So
Yes.
they won't tell me all the secrets.
They finally got involved in it.
There are a few products. I mean, was that an 18 volt auger?
No, it was
No,
a pressure washer.
Yeah, pressure washer. Well, we know currently that the DIY range are producing low pressure washers. There's a 36 volt high pressure washer. But when it comes to the pro range at the moment, because again, for professional, what we would call a professional pressure washer, that is heavy draw.
Yeah.
And that's still in the realms of mains for us currently.
Currently.
You
We
might-
do produce some really good mains pressure washers with soft start as well now, so loads of power.
Maybe what you're really looking for, and maybe you could clarify it. Maybe what you're looking for is something again a little bit lower on the power range, and not a professional commercial pressure washer, but more like a pressure washer that you can, a lower powered normal pressure washer that you can run your professional 18 volt batteries on instead. So something similar to our first wave of lawn and garden products that were more for residential use or private use, but running on a pro battery. If that's what you're looking for, yeah, maybe that's something like that might be possible.
Yeah, no, that's it. We're doing fantastic things even in the DIY side of things with dual battery systems now that we expect, well, I don't know about you, but I expected wouldn't be possible. But I'm being genuinely surprised by the things that we've created.
I wish I could say it. Thinking about the... Yeah. I mean, yeah.
The other one was drain auger.
Yes, interesting.
Not anything that I've heard of on that. We are partnered on our AmpShare platform with Rothenberger, who do.
Yeah.
So again, if you're the battery system for Bosch anyway, then maybe that's a place you could look.
Absolutely. We've mentioned this before, and I feel like we haven't made a mention to AmpShare partners for a while. But that's always a consistent message. If Bosch don't make it, feel free to check out our AmpShare partners. There's a good chance they might.
Yeah.
That's just a general comment always, isn't it?
What was the other one
Last
there,
one.
Yep, there are a couple more. Frankie Guzman says, is there a 12 volt soldering iron on the developer list?
I wish there was.
No,
I haven't seen one
unfortunately
yet.
not.
No.
No. I don't know what to say about it. I don't want to say it's not a professional requirement, but it's not.
Currently we're stuck with like gas soldering irons, something you'd find in the Dremel range. Maybe they do a Versatip for gas soldering, but to get away from gas and move to battery power, that would be a no-brainer. But nothing that I've seen so far.
Yeah, I think at the moment I'm definitely seeing that what we're trying to do is plug critical gaps in a range to make sure that, well, mostly that you don't give us too much flack about X, Y, Z being missing. So there are, I think once we get absolutely sure that we've got our core range absolutely sewn up tight, that might take a while because we're now expanding into entirely new categories of products.
The speed at which it's moving at the moment, I'm not saying we're moving into a new site to accommodate all the power tools, but we're going to need to move to a new site to accommodate all the power tools. It's staggering the speed.
So I guess what I'm saying is I know that unfortunately I've not heard anyone talking about the soldering iron, so I'd have to unfortunately for once actually say I think that's quite low on our priority list. So apologies if that's what you're looking for, but Danny and I can only be honest, that's not something I've heard anything of.
I've brought it up in Germany when I'm over there, and I'd like to say that I got a favourable response. I didn't.
Fair enough. Sorry,
yeah.
mate.
Yeah.
Maybe next time. We'll try.
I hope so. I'll keep banging that drum for you. Don't worry.
Any other questions, please, Tim?
Yes, final one. Is there going to be a 110 volt router, or is there going to be a 10-inch cordless axial glide saw?
Router. Too early for us to give too much comment. But let's just say we've always been adamant that we were not going to stop with a 1/4 inch cordless router. So that's all I can say there. And a smaller glide saw is an interesting idea, but again, I think it's one of those things of price point. Would you guys be willing to pay the premium on a glide mechanism for a
10-inch, 254.
let's say, 10 inch? At the moment, you'll see in a minute, we have a new
12-inch.
12 inch, thank you. But that's not using the glide mechanism. And it's one of those things that the glide mechanism is obviously very much a premium feature for a flagship product. And the 305 is just too good. I would say just get 305.
Go for the 305.
Get 305. It does everything the 10 does and more.
Yeah.
So it would be nice, but I think as we always keep saying, I don't know how big the market is for that. I mean, are you coming from the UK? Because that was a question I always ask, which is how popular is a 10-inch saw?
Yeah.
Mitre saw in the UK, because we're very...
Up until quite recently, we've only produced mains ones.
Yes.
We've finally started producing 254mm cordless. We now have one in the range.
And that's when I asked that question. I said, how popular is this?
Yeah.
Didn't get much of a response. So, because I'm so used to people being either or.
Yeah.
8 or 12, they just skip the 10 totally.
Yeah.
So let us know how popular that is. But to answer your question, glide, not yet. Let's see how big we can make the 10-inch mitre saw market for us first.
Yeah.
Okay, so we moved away. Now we're going to go to something that no one asked for. Well, they did ask for.
Delicately put.
Yeah, no. What they asked for is they were asking for more lights, predominantly bigger lights, and we used to call them area lights, site lights. And I kept saying, no, we don't have that yet. And then surprise, surprise, almost overnight, something else turned up on my desk.
Yep. You got it?
Yeah, I'll grab it. Okay,
It's not that heavy.
No, it's not. It's just I'm weak. Next one I want to show you here is a new area light. This is the GLA 18VH 7500 or 7500. This is I think I summed it up pretty well.
I think you did.
It is, okay, new naming structure. So GLA, as you can see on the screen there. So as opposed to a
lantern.
Well, Danny likes to call it a lantern.
It's
I like
light
to call
area.
it light area or area light.
Yes.
18 volt with a maximum output of 7,500 lumens. The H in the name means this is a hybrid powered product, which means it can also take a kettle plug. Now ignore those 2 pins. I believe that will become a 3-pin plug. This is a Euro marking sample.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where you get the hybrid power out of it. On the front, this is the front of the product here. You see we've got a Procore 12 amp power battery in.
Fits in there nicely.
Absolute overkill. Well, I say overkill, it's probably not so bad actually. Bad choice. Perfectly designed to fit a triple layer Procore battery to help deliver that 7,500 lumens of light for as long as possible. I might have something that in my notes telling me exactly how much time you get out of it, but trust me, it's a good amount of time.
Well, there's a few settings on this that also allow you to effectively double the runtime of it. So.
Now, if I rotate it around a little bit more, just to show you a little walk around the product, you also see we've got a little port here. Maybe you can see that on the close-up. If you can't, don't worry. It's got a USB-C charge port.
So, of course, you can charge your phone.
That's right. And a little button there. In this bit, here's a little button, so you can then activate that charging. Okay, right. So, actually, no, I need to show the bottom because, as I said, there's a lot going on this one simple product. You see on the bottom here, we've got a couple options for mounting. You've got a screw, 5/8.
5/8, yep.
And you've also got on this side, you've got just basically a nice little tube here that allows you to pop that on top of our lighting tripod.
Yeah.
Let me see if I get the name right. So it's the GLT, is that right?
GLT 300-40.
Oh, you sport, mate. I was going to guess anyway. Obviously, that's a 3 meter, 4 kilos.
Yes.
Okay, so I love my acronyms. I love my names. So perfectly designed for our lighting tripod. Control-wise, really straightforward. Get ready. Red button. Red means go, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we can switch light on, and that's the first brightness setting. And as I cycle through the 3, I can see that Dharma on cameras has blinded herself.
Don't look directly.
I'm going to
into
blind
the
her a
light.
little bit more up to the second value. Okay, and then we go to the full 7,500. Let's cut to the, if we can cut to the wide in a minute when you get a second ollie, just to prove that we are well and truly lit at 7,500. I'm going to turn it down to the lowest setting because I'm getting a headache.
Yes.
It's the lowest setting, right. The other button, which is the red, the black
That's
one
still
here.
too bright.
Don't look at the
Don't
light.
stare into the light.
Okay, I'll just cycle very quickly. You can see what we can do. That's very hard for you to see. Maybe on the overhead camera, you can see how now I'm splitting the light from different sides, and I press the button again. It'll then go to the other side. So,
So effectively, if you've got this up against a wall, for instance,
don't waste the power.
there's no point wasting half of your power lighting up a wall.
Or you don't want it in your face.
No.
And then lastly, press it again, and you get the full whack, and Dan gets it right in the face. Right, okay, let's switch that off.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
See purple now.
I can't see anyone. Testament to how insanely bright this lamp is. It's not easy for you to see, obviously, on the live stream because you're going through cameras and through the internet and onto YouTube. But let me rest assured, everyone is not happy with me. They're all scowling, blinking, and, well, Dharma's very angry at me. I can see in the corner of my eye, she was not happy. She wasn't prepared for that. So loads of light. That's all I want to say. A really great, powerful product, allowing you to choose the direction that the light goes out. And maybe you didn't notice, but on the overhead camera, we were looking top down. So you also got LED array at the top pointing up as well.
Yeah.
So great for lighting a relatively large space.
Throws along a lot of light. If you put it up 3 meters, for instance, it throws a lot of light over.
Oh my God, I'm so blind. The last little thing I wanted to show on the bottom there, obviously I mentioned it, I showed it, but I didn't mention it, sorry, is you have a little hook on the back here. So you can suspend, cut to a wider angle maybe, maybe just a wide angle, Ollie, please. Yeah, you see here,
Yeah.
you've just got a simple hook,
Yep.
hang it on a rafter, on a ladder, or anything, to be honest. Anything that will support it. That's what I'd recommend.
I think the heaviest part's probably the battery.
Yes, exactly. I don't really know what I need to mention. I mean, with a outer battery, it's 4.2 kilos. That's about a kilo.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not too much at all.
Kilo and a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the 12.
Okay, so the GLA 18 VH 750, a nice little area light, something you actually generally, I made a joke at the beginning, you have actually been asking us for sight lights. I know exactly what type of sight light you wanted. Stay tuned. But in the meantime, this hopefully will be sufficient to give you something to help light up a bigger area, as opposed to using our GLI series of directional lights.
Yeah. So what's coming is basically going to be a full solution, I think. You'll be able to pick and choose for the area.
Yeah. Okay, let's plow on. Well, 6:15. So we told you it was going to be a long one.
Yes.
I'm waiting to see all the complaints in the chat that it's too much. I'm like, look.
You don't have to watch it live. You could watch it back as the video later.
Also, I'm not even. I'm quite brutal, really. You want products,
Yeah.
right? If you want new products and we don't have enough, and then we bring out loads of products, then you are going to sit through this live stream to see them all, right? Because you wanted them, you're getting them.
It sounded like a threat.
It is a threat. It's a good threat. It's the best kind of threat because a threat means we've got even more tools in the range.
Oh, yes.
Okay, now, believe it or not, this is actually something people are asking for an update. A brand new corded belt sander.
Yes.
I bet you wanted cordless, but in the meantime, there's also still an absolute space for corded machines.
Yep. Well, currently we don't have a belt sander in the range because the older one was discontinued. However, really good bit of kit.
Right, so we have here the GBS 750.
Yeah.
Corded belt sander. I think it's only coming out in 240 volt. I think that's perfectly fine. It's what we need.
The workshop usage, absolutely. spot on.
Yes, and again, like I said, it's sometimes nice to have cordless machines for sure, but there are still many products. Dust extractors is one of them, in my opinion. Belt sanders.
This is a very high drag application
Yeah.
with belt sanders, obviously, because you're trying physically to stop it whilst you're using
Yeah.
it.
So a really great choice of a product still running on a cord, right? Because it's a long duration product. Now the 750 in the name is noting the belt size, which is 75 millimeters. The belt itself is 75 millimeters by 533 millimeters. Not much has changed with belt sanders. I mean, 3.6 kilos, so not actually that heavy. So that's good if you're moving it around. Obviously, it's nice to have a bit of weight. It makes it easy to use. The control-wise is quite straightforward. Let me pop off the dust bag for a moment.
Saying that, the dust bag really works well because this has active lifting of the dust as well. So again, ideally you want an extractor on it, but if you don't have an extractor to hand, the bag is actually very efficient on this.
Yeah, bag or, as you expect, friction fit. So you can run that on any of our GASs, our dust extractors. The product itself doesn't have too many controls. It doesn't need too many. You've got your trigger, activation trigger with a nice little lock-on switch, which you can imagine would be used quite frequently for a belt sander, the long duration.
Variable trigger on this as well.
Yes, and if it wasn't enough, you can also, if you point out here, you can see we also have a nice little speed controller that limits the maximum RPM. So you've got variable speed trigger here and something to limit the maximum as well.
So you can actually adjust the speed on the fly in operation.
And we've made that nice and easy because it's up here on the auxiliary handle, so you can easily access that without having to take your hand off.
Nice and comfortable.
Nice and straight. I mean, to be honest, I said this to you the other day, it's like, if it ain't broke, just like SDS Plus, 50 years, do you know that?
Yeah.
Just like SDS, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Same thing for a belt sander. Fundamentally, the concept's the same. It still has a very important place. We didn't want to radically change it, so we brought out the new GBS 750, 850 watts, 75 millimeters. I mean, what else can I say? Belt tensioning.
It's whatever you'd expect from a belt sander and
tracking.
also tracking as well on the front. So yeah.
Tracking there. Okay, so all the things you'll expect. Let's move on because we've still got plenty of products.
Oh yeah.
Next one. Could you grab that one for me, Dan? It's on my side, please.
It's on your side, okay? Oh yes.
Okay, So, do you know what you need? What we need? I think we could do with another corded machine.
Yes. So here we have the GSA 12-13. Almost said V then, but it's not a 12 volt.
Easy to make it that.
It's 1,200 watts of power out of this one. Brushed, so easy to service. And 30 millimeters when it comes. So yeah, 30 millimeters when it comes to the stroke length.
You could, or you could say it's 30. It's 3,000 strokes per minute, or a 30 milli stroke. They're all threes, so take your pick.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. We always use stroke length, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. When it comes to the mains ones, the naming structure is slightly different with mains, but yeah. I think this one. I think we chatted about this the other day, but this is probably going to be the replacement for the GSA 1100E.
Yes, I think so.
Which is already a very well established and quite a nice niche little product actually.
We'll keep the 13 in the range, won't we?
Yes, I think
1300.
so. But the ergonomics on this is great. It's taken an awful lot away from the higher price point machines with regards to the vibration control. And popped it into a lower price point cording machine.
It does resemble like the Biturbo brushless one in a lot of features.
It doesn't have some of the features that a lot of people would find unnecessary, like the orbital function. If you don't use it regularly enough to take advantage of the orbital function, then yeah, that'll do you.
Yeah, as you can see, another ladder or rafter hook on the top there. So any Americans in the chat? That's standard. You guys want it, of course. We know how much you like to use recip saws. Cutting capacity, pretty good. 230 millimeter for wood, 150 millimeter pipe profile. I'll imagine that's profile. Plenty of capacity. A good machine. It doesn't. It's a bit no bells and whistles. Just a good, solid reciprocating saw.
It's got an adjustable foot on it as well as the SDS tool holder, as you'd expect with our entire range of recip saws.
Exactly. Now, okay, let's move on to a product that I think I'll grab. This is an important one. So you pop that down. I'll get this one on the desk.
You're going to lift this one up all on your own.
Oh, so I'm a big man.
He says as he buckles under the weight.
Yeah, could have gone terribly. So we've already hinted that we were bringing another 12-inch miter saw to the range. Let's get that positioned. Gives Dharma plenty of time to try and frame that up. But my understanding is that we're too big to fit on that camera, so I think we'll stick on the wide for a lot of it. Okay, so new product.
Yes.
Let's get the name out of the way first. We have the GCM 340 305D. So there's a lot of numbers in there. Let's break it down a little bit. So GCM, so it's your compound miter saw. 340 is the cross-cutting width.
Yep.
And then 305 is
the blade size.
blade size. Yeah, D means dual bevel.
As you'd expect, our entire range now, I think, is dual bevel. I think one of the entry level ones is single bevel, but they're all dual bevel now. It's come to be expected.
Right, okay, it's a bit of a harder product to show. I mean, we can't spend too much time on it. I'm sure you're familiar with our Mitosaur range. So we'll be a bit top line on this product, but again, if you want to find out more information, you can save that in the comments. We'll probably add that to
There
a
is
Q&A.
one thing we should definitely mention on this.
Oh yeah, we'll go through it, but we'll keep it pretty brief.
Yes.
Obviously, the cutting capacity. Okay, see, you can't even see me. Aren't you lucky? The cutting capacity on the Mitosaur is, in regards to depth of cut, is 105. You can do more with a spacer, but without one, it's 105 millimeters. So really great for your 100 by 100s. As I said, the cross cut capacity is 340 millimeters. The bevel range is 45 left and 45 right, but it does have the ability to go 47 and 47. So you've got a little extra if you want that. There's a little button on the back that allows you to move over to get that extra 2 degrees. Right, dust extraction, sliding mechanism. However, what we want to show, and I'll plug it in down my end, is, I need to grab a bit of wood.
We certainly will. Let me just see if I can grab something here. I've got a nice piece of wood there.
Well,
actually, I'll grab that one there.
Now this is
Might be able to
something,
see it a little
this
bit
is
clearer.
something you've been asking for quite some time.
That in position there.
Now, will this show up on the camera? I wonder. Do you reckon you can get that done? You may not be able to, but hopefully you can see that there is a light that is shining from the top of the guard here, and what you've got, we'll just better just say it because I don't think I'll be able to see it. You've got a shadow
line.
Yeah, shadow line for the blade itself, so you can see exactly where the cut's going to be, and it's so good you can even see the curve of the teeth. Curve of the blade, you can see the actual teeth themselves. So, I mean, if you are familiar with your saws, I'm sure you know what the shadow line feature is on some other products out there. This is now the first one in the Bosch range to feature that technology.
Yeah, the advantage of this is usually when you have a laser, you have to align that to the blade that you've got fitted to the machine. No one really changes the alignment, despite the fact that they may have changed the blade. With this, you fit a new blade. It takes into consideration. It's just a light shining down over the blade, gives you a very, very accurate line.
Yep. Little button on the top here. You can see there, hopefully, I think you can see that on the camera. That switches on the laser, not the laser this time.
Yep. Doubles as a good work light as well. Yeah.
Okay, has soft start and delivers up to 1800 watts.
Yeah.
So a great, outstanding bit of machinery. 305 again, giving you that 305 millimeter blade. And because we've got an excellent range of CSBs,
Circular saw blades.
Sorry, circular saw blades.
Been institutionalized.
I have. I'm very Bosch. Tim will be very proud of me referring to them as their acronyms. We've got a wide range of blades in 305 millimeter, so you can cut all kinds of material. You can cut wood roughly, finely, exceptionally finely. You can also cut composites, aluminium.
Multi-material, aluminium. Yep. We've got blades for everything mostly.
High pressure laminate.
We've got fiber cement board.
If you want to cut fiber cement board, you can do it on a Mitosaur. Yeah. Did you know? Now you do. Okay, right. So, to be honest, it's a very difficult tool to show and demonstrate on a little tiny desk here. But I think hopefully you can get an idea. I'll unplug it. You can get an idea of what is possible. This is going to replace our existing model, which is the GCM. Is it 12 SDE, I think it is.
12 SDE or 12? Yeah, no, I'm thinking of the next tool that we've got.
Yeah,
but
so that was, and that was our previous model, and I'm hoping that this will be even more affordable with no loss of performance. No. Okay. Maybe what we'll do, Danny, we'll do some product videos, as we are always going to do singular product videos, and we'll show all the little features on this, but it's a little bit too much for the live stream. We want to get through a lot more products. Yep. So I'll skip over to the next products, but I'll get this off the desk first. So, do you want to introduce this range?
Yes, so the much anticipated, at least on our behalf, is our sanders and polishers. So we have a full range now of 6 machines.
All right, let me get them on the desk first.
Sorry, too quick for him. He can't keep up.
Oh, there's a lot of tools. I've got to try and get them all on the table. Yeah. Let me get them on the table, and then we'll introduce them one at a time and go into them.
Yep. So these have all come under different names as well. again, it's worth running through them. Some machines that you'll think look the same, however, the operation is different for different applications as well.
All right.
It's quite a few.
There's quite a few. Now, what I think we'll do is, how should we introduce these? You wanted 12-volt machines, okay? You said,
These are exceptional.
Where are the new
having-
12-volt products, right?
Having used them, these are exceptional, I have to say.
Now, the reason why we
Genuinely
reason why we brought out a whole range of products is because of what we have designed them for. These are spot repair, polishing, sanding,
Paint correction.
lacquer.
Yep.
Yeah, a wide range of different applications. Now, we're obviously gearing, in Danny and I's mind, we're kind of gearing them a lot towards the automotive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not all that limit. That doesn't. Sorry,
No.
shouldn't limit these products and the accessories to just that application.
Certainly not. I mean, if you're talking about appliance manufacturer or anything like that, basically anything with a painted surface and a painted and lacquered surface, the possibility of dust inclusions or holograms, as you'll probably come to in a little bit, can affect the general look of a product coming off the production line. This gives you the ability to correct those problems without having to go back in the booth and respray something again.
Yeah.
So, again, it's a must-have for many people out there.
If you are, again, if you work in maybe composites, maybe something like Corian, plastics, or anything with a shiny material, if you're working as a carpenter or a joiner and you're working in wood sanding, very fine, delicate work, there's some really amazing stuff out there that really needs that extra level of finesse to get something up to a real good. Maybe you're working again in even lacquered woods, veneers, all that kind of stuff. So not just automotive repairs.
No.
So I think, let me put some to one side, because again, we have not had any cordless polishers in the range.
No.
We have had some sanders, and I want to make it very clear that they might share similar names, but they're not the same products. So first machine up, let me grab the right one. Okay.
You put them all next to each other, it's not so easy, is it?
No, it's not. Let's pop that on the desk first, okay, and introduce this product officially the way it should be. This machine is the GSS 12V- put it here, yeah, there we go. The GSS 12V-32. A cordless 12-volt.
Yep.
Well, I guess you call it. It's a direct. It's a
It's an
fixed orbit.
Strictly speaking, it's an orbital sander.
Yes.
So we've got the GSS 18V-13, I think it is. Similar technology here. We have a forced orbit, so it's not a random orbital sander. It's just an orbital sander.
If you see on the front of this machine, you can see here, there's a nice little 3 on the front, and you'll see that this is a common feature on our products, that we actually mark each individual one with the orbit millimeter diameter.
Yes, the offset from the central spindle, which gives you the orbit function.
When it comes to this product, we have, there's so many great features. The 32 comes from the pad size or the disc size on here. This one, as I said, is 32 millimeter. You can hopefully see it's got a little hook and loop fixture there. You'll see when we come to the accessories later, that's how you'd attach the accessories. The no load speed of this is 3,000 to 8,000 via this trigger here.
Yep.
Now you might not hear it, but there is so much control.
Yeah. These machines, you're not going to be putting in you're not going to be almost putting any weight on them. You're really just motivating the accessory to do the work.
If we cut to the overhead camera, I can show you the interface on the back and some of the smaller features. Let's turn it around for you. Now, you may have seen this on some of our previous machines, like the GRG. You see it actually looks very similar to a GRG. Same similar ergonomics, but similar controls on the back. Let's just make sure the overhead is playing ball. You can adjust the RPM up to the maximum of 8,000. So it's that way around. That's easier for you to see.
Yep.
Okay, and then if I pull the trigger, you'll see that. Actually, it does take time to cycle through each one. You'll see that it'll also go green. There you go, showing you the battery capacity. So you can see that the 12-volt battery I've got in there probably needs a change at some point.
Yes.
The back here also has a little bumper, and this is a nice feature that you'll see on every other product we've got. So if we cut to maybe the close-up cam, now if you're using this product as you'd expect, you'll be using some kind of abrasive. The last thing you want to do is contaminate that abrasive with whatever's on your workstation. So a nice little bumper on the back there means it sits nice and steady. pop on your accessory, leave the tool in a nice neutral
Yeah.
position.
Very important on these products, especially important when it comes to the polishers.
Last little point, virtually, I can't say none, but it's so low vibration. It's sub 2.5, I believe, on this, but no, not sub 3.5, so it's 2.7 meters per second. So
all day long. No
all day
problems at all.
application. Now, what's this tool used for? So GSS, this is a sander, but because it's fixed orbit, it's far more aggressive.
It's more aggressive when it comes to maybe running sanding down runs in paintwork or anything like that. When you want to
Bring filler down. Yeah.
bring filler down or remove a large amount of material quicker. And you're not too worried about swirl marks, basically.
Yes, or you're gonna buff those, not buff, but you're gonna sand those out at some point. Now, I'm anticipating we're going to get a lot of questions on these products. So what I think we'll do is we'll run through all the sanders, and then we'll pause for a moment, see if we've got questions in regards to these products. So let's move to the next one, which is still on my side of the desk. Okay, next one I got here is the GEX 12V-32.
Yes.
So similar name, but now we're GEXing.
We're a random orbital sander, so similar to the previous one. Larger orbit when it comes to the offset. This is a 5.
Everything else is pretty much the same.
Everything else is pretty much the same.
We've got a little less vibration at 2.5, but same maximum RPM, same variable speed trigger interface, parking function. This one I can see you've been using.
Yes, we used that one yesterday. The pad you can see on the end here is free floating, so it's not driven at all. It's just the offset that rotates that part of the sander, which gives you the random orbit, which means you're not going to get swirl marks.
You can see that. I think you can see that quite easy on the slower RPM. You can see how the random orbit works. Yeah, exactly. So this is, yes, far better for evening out and without the chances of getting as much or if any of those swirl marks that you described. Yeah. Perfect, yes. Okay, and again, 32 means it's got the same size accessory or backing pad. Last machine, and then I'll hand over to you. Maybe we'll go to Tim actually. The last machine I want to show you is also a GEX, but you can see the pad size is much bigger. So GEX 12V-77. So 77 millimeter pad, really great for excellent surface finishing, especially if you're wanting to try and start that blending process before you move on to polishing.
Yeah, so this is for slightly larger areas than you would use the previous one for.
Same max RPM, but as it is a bigger machine with a smaller orbit of 2.5, you're going to get a lot less vibration. So you're down to 1.6 now.
Yeah.
So very comfortable. I mean, you probably would end up using this longer anyway.
Yeah.
So you want to have a nicer, I'm not saying nicer sanding experience.
Nice sander experience. I know that's exactly what was in my head. as well.
You know how I talk, yes, exactly. But again, all the same functions and a nice parking function. We'll show you some of the accessories as well in a minute. This particular one does have a slight different on the ergonomics, which is a lock-on switch here. So this is the type of tool that you probably would use for a little longer. So you can, I'll take the battery out for a moment, you can obviously then
release the effort of your finger.
Yeah, it's just a mechanical trigger there, so you don't have to be holding the trigger the whole time. Okay, right, so let's pause for a second before we look at some of the accessories that are available for those 3 machines. Tim, I think I saw you maybe had some questions. Are they related to these tools or different ones?
Mostly related to different ones.
Oh, okay. Do you know what we'll do? Let's hold those questions for now, because I think it's important that we get through all the sanders and the upcoming polishers, and then we'll answer some of those questions.
Yes.
See if we get any questions related to these ones first, because we know if we play this back as a video, it'll be good to get some questions that might be in relation to the topic before.
Yeah.
Okay, so next products up, or actually before we do that, let's have a look at some of the accessories.
Yes.
Um,
You've got them over there as well.
maybe. I can see that both Dharma and Tim are super excited.
Yes.
Remember, they work for accessories. They should be happy because there is a range of accessories available for the GSSs and the GEXs. Most of them are going to be the actual backing pads. The other accessories, let's see
We've got
example.
the little sanding pads there for the 32.
Yep, that's right.
Also, sanding pad there for the 77, and I believe that one is for something different.
Something different, yes. So when it comes to the backing pads, yes, these are optional accessories. The machine comes with one already, but obviously if you need to change it or you had a mistake and you've burnt it out, you get your hook and loop And you also, let me see if I've got one in the packaging. You also got one which is the sticker pad. So you got a backing pad sticker. So this is slightly different if it cuts it close up. So this one does not have the hook and loop. You can see it's quite smooth as opposed to the hook and loop one that usually comes on the machine. You'll get both of these in the scope of supply.
Yep.
Okay, so you can buy those as separate accessories as well. Now this is an important one because I think it's very important for us to introduce a real great partner of ours, which is SIA Abrasives. Now, hopefully you've heard of their name. I'm sure you must have if you're in the market for any kind of abrasive. Hopefully you've heard of SIA Abrasives.
In many cases, when you've bought an abrasive that's branded as another manufacturer, SIA probably make it.
That's right, yes. So SIA is within the Bosch umbrella, like people that you also might have heard of, like Freyud, which is another Bosch company. But again, well respected in the industrial market, just like Freyud. SIA is another example. So many accessories.
Yeah.
So we have a little assortment here of some of the different abrasives. Now, before you get upset that we may not be doing a demonstration on this, as we said, we want to do a comprehensive presentation on all these machines and the accessories and the solutions. We need to do another live stream on that. We cannot spend the time that we need to spend on just this series of products and the accessories themselves. But there is a wide range of different accessories that are designed for this product. For the smaller machines, the ones that are the 32s, let's have a look. Have we got it here? We got the SIA Watt. I wonder if I pronounced that correctly. So you've got the 1713s. Okay. You also have the 1913s, and I have to now learn different kinds of names. But these accessories are designed for that. These smaller machines with the 32mm pads. These are 37mm accessories in a wide range of grits from 1500 to 2500, I believe.
That's 1200 you got there.
Sorry, yes.
1200.
Sorry, 1200 up to 2500. I think we recommend for certain applications you start at 1500. So that's my apologies. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I've used the 1200 before, and it's just a little bit too aggressive for paint restoration.
Yeah. So simply place it onto the machine like that. I mean, you would probably have it on like that, and it's just simple hook and loop, easy to attach to the machine and to remove once it's spent. Really great little bits of kits. Again, that really fine grit is exactly what you need, especially if you're doing that spot repair work or taking scratches out to do that that preliminary phase before you start polishing it out. Great advantage here is you've got a wide range of different grits to allow you to do that multi-step process to get to the best finish possible. With the slightly larger machine, I say slightly larger, the 77 model, so the GEX 12V-77, that 77mm pad, then we're stepping up to a different accessory. We've got quite a few of those actually.
Yes, there's plenty of those we've got.
Yeah, so SIA Watt, and then we've got SIA Air. Okay, so the SIA Airs, these are 80mm diameter, and if I open another box, again, lots of different grits. You can see that it's like a little abrasive pads here. Again, hook loop. You can see on the back there, these are 3000.
Yeah, same here.
Right, and again, just like before, simple to attach like that, and start your process.
Nice and flexible as well.
Yes, very, very pliable. You've got a lot of forgiveness on that, and that is, very good, very good. So a wide range of different grits, and you can see that we've got accessories from our fellow company, SIA Abrasives, to support us on that. Yes. Now, I'm going to tidy up a little bit, and I think, Dan, you should show the other half of the job.
Well, the other half of the process.
That's right, yes. You cannot just be done with sanding, although, yes, you go up to some really great high grits. I forgot to mention, we I don't know if SIA only go up to, but we recommend going up to the 4000 grits on the SIA Airs, the 7940s, those 18mm pads. But you need to go to polishing now, which is, well, you could argue, even higher grits.
Yes, I'll just bring down the SIA Silk that I've got here, sorry, the SIA Chrome. This is the cut and finishing compound that SIA do. Having used it, it's very, very good. Along with these products here, absolutely fantastic. Really, after you flatted down that material, is to take out all of those fine, some slightly deeper grooves with one of the machines here. But with the other two, it's more for removal of those finer scratches, bringing it up to almost a glass-like finish.
Yeah.
To be fair, I would be happy to put any of the work that I've done with these machines on my car any day of the week. Absolutely no problem.
Yes, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves actually. So we've talked about the Sanders, so the GSSs and the GXs. Let's move on to some products you probably don't hear a lot of, are GPOs and these brand new range of 12 volts. So first one up, Dan, let's go.
We have the GPO, so the professional polisher, 12V-77. So same tool fitment size. However, these take the polishing heads. Although these may seem coming out of the box as quite a dense material, in use they're very, very pliable and allow you to mould around compound curves and more delicate applications with ease. This particular machine here is a fixed orbit. So as we said before, this is for taking out your deeper scratches. But you can feel there it's literally just turning the motor. So it's a direct drive between the two.
Yeah, deeper scratches or like really heavily weathered paintwork. So again, just like the GSS,
My mistake,
really aggressive.
this is just orbital.
Correct.
There's no offset bearing on this, so it's direct drive for the motor.
Yeah, so-
it's literally just turning. So yeah, no orbit,
Speed and
no
aggression.
random orbit.
Yeah.
This is just drive from the motor.
You can see from the ergonomics, it's very similar to the previous machines, just a bit beefier.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else different? Parking function, lock on. Okay, all of the polishers have a lock on function.
Yeah,
don't
and even when we're talking about the interface system here, it is exactly the same between the previous model and this one. So yeah, battery level indicator, digital speed controller in there as well. You can adjust it whilst you're using it on the fly. Really handy bit of kit.
It's taken a while to develop these for sure, but I think a lot of time and attention has been put into the feel and the ergonomics using these tools. They feel amazing to use.
It feels like there's an awful lot of innovation or innovative design that's gone into these over and above some of the other machines.
Yeah.
A combi drill is very much like a combi drill, but because this is something that we haven't done before, it's taken some fresh thinking to come up with something that really stands out.
Yeah. Again, that parking function. So if when you are applying, say your cut or your finish, you don't have to worry about that rocking over and getting contaminated. Even without putting the polish, you don't want to get that on the ground. You want to get stuff, and you do not want to get that contaminated.
Yeah, always make time for a little bit of water on the subject as well, just to make sure you don't burn anything away.
Okay, so GPO 12V-77. Let's move on to the next machine, which is it's a X machine.
GPX,
Yes.
yes. This one here looks very similar. However, as you'll see on here, this is a random orbit polisher. So this one, again, it's not a forced orbit. This has a 12mm offset. So quite a large offset. Actually, a really large offset.
I can see it there. It's very aggressive.
Yeah, when it comes to actually running the machine, you can see there the offset is quite considerable. But again, swirl-free polishing. This is the one that I've used to buff out a lot of the paintwork that we've done a little bit of training over the last few days on these, and I've used this as, again, brilliant.
Yeah. So if the damage or the scratches are lighter, you don't need to go for the GPO. You could use just the GPX to take that work those imperfections out.
Yeah, might take a little bit longer. However, taking longer over the job allows you to stop at the perfect opportunity rather than maybe overdoing it. So it gives you plenty of time to take a look at and evaluate the job that you're doing and making sure that you don't overdo it.
Yes. Okay, and then Danny, moving on to the last of the range, the sixth machine, the final one.
This is the GPX 12V-125. So again, very similar machine. It's an 8mm orbit on this one, so slightly reduced from the previous one. It's a random orbit again. You can see that as I turn the disc. See, that's 8mm offset there. 125mm pad. So nice big pad there for polishing larger areas. So this, you're talking fractions of panels at this point, or even a full panel.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it really helps blend in those large correction works.
Yeah, usually each step you try to go to a larger area and cover what you've previously done and bring the surrounding area down to the same level or up to the same level in many respects. No one wants a really shiny piece of paint surrounded by an awful looking piece of paint. So again, it's all about blending it into what's already
Sounds
there.
like you're describing my car. I think both Danny and I will be taking these training samples, and we will be perfecting our abilities on our own cars, because
I think so, yeah.
they are both in need of some TLC. So I think you've mentioned already, perfect for actually the GPXs in general, really
Yeah.
good at removing holograms and those lighter scratches.
Yes.
Yeah, great. In conjunction with the Sear cut and Sear finish.
When we talk about holograms, we're referring to imperfections in the depth of paint. But I would say ruining the illusion of a lustrous paint.
That's right. Now, when it comes to the accessories, we supply a number of the backing pads. There's an example here in our new Pro packaging. See that we've been discussing actually all the accessories here are all in the Pro packaging. Here's some examples of the 125 backing pad. These are available both in the 77s and the 125s. What you can have is you can have different polishing pads as well, actually. This is the backing pad, so it's grab this machine. We're talking about this part. Okay, this can be replaced, and you can also get the polishing pads themselves as spares.
They are a consumable item at the end of the day. They're very easy to wash out and very, very easy to dry, actually. However, they will wear out over time, like any foam-based item will.
Yeah, so this is a medium pad. This is what you get with the product itself and scope of delivery, but you are also able to purchase soft pads as well in different sizes. I'm not sure whether or not they are Sear. I think they might be Sear parts, but I'll double check whether or not we're going to bring Bosch accessories to that.
I haven't seen any names on them, but we'll certainly look into that.
So we've obviously shown a lot of the Sear abrasive accessories and the fluids that we discussed. So sandpaper, abrasives, and obviously the polishing
Steerchrome,
fluids. What we'll do is, again, thanks to our colleagues over at Sear Abrasives for sending these samples for us to show you on the live stream and also to demonstrate. What we'll do in return, of course, is we will pop the website link in the low bar later on once this live stream becomes a video, so you can feel free to check out the wide range of amazing Sear accessories that
It's a really easy to operate website as well, and full of information, full of useful information.
All right, so in summary, before we finish, and again, we will just go through the different products. Should we go? I'll pass you all your polishers and I'll go through the range really quickly.
Whoop, hang on.
See, Danny needs to use a parking function. Okay, so starting off with, we have
I'm going to say the desk's too polished.
Yeah, let's see if we can get more. You've got the GSS, okay, you've got the 12V-32, they've got the GEX 12V-32, and then you've got the big boy, the GEX 12V- look at it, 77. Okay, when it comes to the polishers, Danny?
Yep, I've got the GPO 12V-77. I've got the GPX 12V-77, and I've got the GPX 12V-125.
See, there's logic to it. It's easy.
It makes sense. It does make sense.
All well labelled with the orbit, the type of tool and the orbit diameter. So if you have multiple, and you probably will need a number of these products, you won't get muddled up with which product and which compound you're running on each one. Nice and easy to misunderstand. Right, wow. Right, we've got a few more products to get through, so we're going to have to speed along, because as always, I'm getting hungry, the team are getting restless, and I think Dharma's just about recovered from me blinding her with that light.
Yeah.
So Tim, have we got any questions?
Yes, we do. About the polishers, we have a couple of questions on those, and then we'll get to the other questions, the more broad questions after that. So on the polishers, are each of those polishers / sanders geared to operate at those particular sizes as demonstrated, or will you have a bigger size for these, and will they be expert quality?
Well, we refer. Oh, okay, interesting question. They're obviously designed for these. They are designed for this size. So I would not recommend moving up to larger pads. So please stay within the system. They are perfectly geared for as you see them. So try not to mess around with that. Don't mess around with perfection.
To be fair, it's a very established set that we're starting with. And there's many other brands out there that don't have an established set with
Not
as many
cordless,
tools.
especially cordless.
That we currently are even launching. So
yeah, I think what we've done here, and this is something I will show you in a minute with measuring tools as well, we've come out of the gate with what we think is a pretty full range.
we've done that a few times recently as well.
So very quiet, and then suddenly 6 products. And you wanted more 12 volt, and we all kept teasing you because I knew these were coming. We were desperately trying to keep it quiet, but no, 6 machines straight out the gate. the complete system. Try not, as you said, designed as they should be with the relevant accessories designed as they should be. In regards to an expert tool, well, currently we can't tell you anything about expert because it doesn't technically and officially exist yet. But obviously someone knows stuff that they're not supposed to know. Secret. Some leaks have happened. But these are 12-volt machines. And currently, I don't know whether or not these will feature in any of those kinds of upcoming products.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
Yep. Instead, what you might be interested to know, I might be able to tease that maybe in the future, we may be bringing out some 18-volt variants for larger applications, and those polishers may or may not. Well, they will require a larger battery platform, so 18-volt. But I can't tell you too much more. Okay, Tim, any more?
Yes. Again, on the polishers, will there be pads the size of 180 millimeters or 230 millimeters for the polishers?
Not for 12.
You're talking currently. That's more of our sort of mains area, but definitely not for the 12.
Let's hope
It
the 18
would make
might
sense
run them.
something 18, yeah.
Yeah,
That
but
would
not
make
12.
sense.
We would say 12 volt. We're perfectly happy with the 12 volts running that 125.
Yeah, going from nothing to 6 machines is a big step as it is.
Yeah.
But again, it's something that we're definitely going to push forward. I mean, we've obviously got a design team that's working on these now, so yeah, that stands to reason. Well, they're not going to be very busy now. They've finished these ones, so
No. But bear in
Then
mind,
move on to something else.
But bear in mind, we classify these as spot polishers and
Yes.
spot sanders.
Yeah.
Okay, the bigger you get, you're moving out of this category of product. And again, as Danny points out, mains and maybe future 18 volt is what you're looking at for those larger pads. Yeah. Tim.
Some more general questions now. What about a 12-volt PVC or copper tubing cutter?
I would say no on that one, unless you've seen anything that you're keeping quiet about, Chris.
No, I was going to ask you, is that quite specialist? Doesn't.
I mean, typically in the past we've got the bandsaw, but
Yeah.
that's not particularly clean cut when it comes to cutting PVC pipes. You don't want to do a lot of finishing on that. You just want to cut the pipe and join the pipe. I wouldn't say that I'm an expert in plumbing or waste management in any sense, but there's certainly nothing I've seen regarding that.
No, unfortunately not. I think we'll have to
Rothenberger. We'll go back to Rothenberger again.
have a look at our partners,
They
yeah.
do pipes and pipe tooling. So
I think that's a good shout.
On the same platform as us. So.
Yeah, good shout. Okay, Tim, any more, or should we get going?
A few more.
Okay.
Any 12-volt 1865-9 high output batteries in the future, 2.5 amp hours, like some of the competition have. Would love to have a small battery with the oomph of a 6 amp hour.
So maybe a Procore equivalent. Is that we
Yeah.
had that question
Yep.
before? Larger cells, 21700s and stuff.
I think we have, yeah.
Yeah. I think you answered it best the last time, which is it might require modifying the housing. Let's use the
Yep.
GRC as an example. The cells are bigger, so we would would have to modify the stick battery so it would look more like a double layer battery,
Yeah.
and all the cells would be on the outside. So this is just there's no cells in there.
I don't know how it would work if you were to mix, because these are 18650 cells that sit in here, whether you could mix 18650s and 21700s.
No, you can't see my head shaking.
The amp hour output will be different between the two. So it'd be interesting to see if they do something, how they do it.
Yeah, I would expect that if you were going to try and get 21700s into this size format,
You'd have to change the handle of the machine.
Or this, because we would want to keep that backwards compatibility, then this would stay as almost hollow or solid with the contacts, and the battery cells would be outside of this. Because we don't want to, we don't want to force the batteries. We don't want the batteries not to be compatible with an existing range.
It's gonna affect the ergonomics if we have to change the dimensions of the handle at all. So
Yeah. So
I've watched this space, but yeah, it would make sense for us to do something like that. However, the logistics of it, because of the way that our batteries are developed and they fit in the machines, it's going to be a hill to climb.
yeah, exactly. So instead, what you might see, and I've seen some competitors out there.
Maybe a triple layer version of that.
Yeah, you'd have a stick. It would be like a stick battery, and actually the cells would be in the bottom portion here. So you would have your 21700 cells here, and maybe you have a double layer. But if I'm
See,
being
that's
honest,
currently running a double layer. There's nothing to say that you couldn't put another 3 cells underneath and run a triple layer, much like we do in our 12 amp hour Procore batteries.
or a double layer of 21700s, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but again, this for me personally, I think this starts to detract from the real advantage of a 12-volt platform, which is compact and lightweight. If you're wanting that power, I would argue maybe you should be really looking at 18 volt.
Yeah, you don't really want to be overtaxing the machine.
Or I mean,
Least of that
or
one.
moving away from, as I say, the real benefits of a 12 volt, which is small and compact. We have a very, very big comprehensive range. What we haven't got with us to show today is we just launched a new hybrid charger, which is both 18 and 12 volts. So now that we've got a charger that does another charger, we have one in the past that does both those voltages, that really does open us up to much more mixed voltage kits.
We had the GAX 18, didn't we? Which ran a 12 volt battery as well.
1830, yeah.
1830. That ran 3 amp charger.
Yes.
So, but this new one is an 8 amp charger on both 18 and 12 volt. So it's our fastest charger for 12 volt that we've ever created.
Yeah, so maybe that would be the interim solution
Yeah.
where, again, we could have more powerful 12 volt batteries, but when you want more power, I think you go 18 volt.
I don't think you'll flatten a battery as quick as that charger will charge it.
Yeah.
So you'd always have a charged battery ready to go.
Okay, let's move on to the next. Sorry, Tim, if you had more questions, but we're just going to move on to the next one. We'll save some of the questions to the next section. You got it, Dan?
I do.
So, next machine is something, again, you've been asking for. We've had plenty of bi-turbo brushless rotary hammers in the range. However, one thing we haven't had is a dedicated straight chisel hammer. Obviously, again, this is the 50-year anniversary of STS Plus, but what we've got here is a brand new STS Max machine.
There you go.
This is the GSH 18V-5, which is it's a demolition hammer.
It's a demolition hammer. The reason it's called a 5 is because this is almost toe to toe with the corded 5 kilo hammer. So for the corded hammers, the naming structure worked as the rough weight or the category that it fell into. But this is the cordless version that falls into that same category.
Yeah, well, 5.3 kilograms, so it is perfectly in that 5 kilo
This one
range.
is, yes.
Yeah. One great advantage with Bosch hammers, again, remember we told you back in the 1930s, 1932s, we've got, well, I think we always say over 90 years of heritage when it comes to Bosch hammers, and the same thing when it comes to straight chisels. We've got great heritage when it comes to power, but especially power to weight ratio. So yes, Danny points out a 5 kilo hammer, but the ability to deliver 8.5 joules of pneumatic energy.
Really quite impressive with this machine. Plus the fact it has a feature that is it gives you even more runtime out of your battery as well.
Yes.
I'm really quite impressed with that.
What we've got is as you call it, a power save. So the machine will slowly idle, and only once you start applying pressure to the back of the tool fitter or the accessory, then it ramps up to deliver its power.
Do you know what? I didn't even notice that the first time I used it. I was surprised how slow it ran, but how well it performed. Mainly because I probably couldn't hear it during using
It is
the
quite
machine.
quiet, yeah.
Yeah.
If I show you if I go to the close-up camera, maybe you can see we have a small little control panel on the back. You might need to zoom in on that one, Dharma. You'll see there's 2 different functions on here. We've got one button on the bottom here that allows me to cycle between a 100% and a 70% mode.
This is a feature that we've had on many of our hammers in the past, where if you're breaking into a more slippery surface, maybe,
Perhaps.
or something where you might feel that the chisel will jump around a bit before actually biting in and breaking the surface, that you can have almost a slow start on
Yeah.
this,
Or
or ramp up to 70%, and then you release the trigger, switch it over to 100, and away you go.
Yeah, or the alternative way is, and I don't believe any of you guys are going to do this, if you want to save a bit of energy, or not energy, battery power, and you're working in a softer material, you might not need the 100% power because you want to save battery life. But who am I kidding? You want to get home, like I do.
You go full
You want to go
Clarkson.
full power, 100%, smash that wall down, and go home and get some.
Yeah, you go full Clarkson, power, solves everything, and away you go.
Exactly. So, but we give you that option anyway. Nice little interface on the back, again showing you a temperature gauge, so you know whether or not the battery or the machine's starting to get too hot, and you can see whether or not you're running out of battery charge. Nice and straightforward, nice and simple, just what you wanted. A nice little SDS SDS Max, breaker. If you grab another Bosch invention, the Artec chisel.
This is the Artec chisel.
Let me get the battery out of that very quickly. Okay, and you'll see the tool fitment is as straightforward as you can imagine. You pull the collar back to fit.
You have to.
Index
sorry.
pull back. Yeah.
I'm not listening to what you're saying at all.
No. Okay.
Easy as this.
Easy as
Oh,
that.
don't you just love life?
Okay, there you are. And then, as this is a straight chisel, you may be running some spade bits or flat chisels if you're taking tiles off, for example. So you have a variable mode, ability to rotate the tool fitting. But different to our rotary hammers, which has a mode, on this one you simply pull the collar out and then you can rotate the actual tool holder. So
Genuinely disappointed you didn't struggle with that.
no, I'm too strong and alpha for that, of course. But as I said, a really great 5 kilo hammer, 8.5 joules of energy. It's a good looking machine too.
It is, yes.
One last thing before we go off. Danny, could you grab me the GDE hex?
I can.
And maybe we'll do the small attachment, the 2 attachments actually, the
That's the
accessory
GDE,
as well.
That's the GDE hex there. So that's a well-established attachment that we've had around for a long time.
Yeah.
Just clips on around the tool collar of the machine there.
Oh, I have to adjust it, yeah.
Yep.
It's basically like a ski boot
Yeah,
adjustment.
that just pulls tight around there and locks into position. That sits round the base of the chisel, and again connected to a relevant dust extractor will pull up all of that silica dust that's created during braking. A lot of people don't think that you can have dust extraction on a breaker. We have solutions for all of our breakers when it comes to this. Multiple solutions in many cases.
Yeah, and again, do not underestimate the health issues of silica dust. You need to look after yourself, guys, because you might not think much of it on the day. Yeah, but in a few years, maybe as just a year, you'll start to experience some of the real issues you get from silicosis and other respiratory injuries and diseases you get
Yeah.
from breathing in that dust. If I take this bit off very quickly and show you an alternative, so if you don't want to run the GDE hex, you can run the SDS clean chiseling attachment.
Yes.
Which
So this,
also works with the Artec chisels.
yes, this one works specifically with the Artec chisel. See this little bump we have on here? This is regarded as the reflection point. This is designed to prevent a lot of the vibration from going back up through the chisel into the machine. It reflects the vibration back down again. This takes full advantage of that, so it sits just over the SDS Max chisel, sits just on the reflection point, and it gives you the ability to adjust the suction head to as close to the material as you can, and the relevant extractor is then pulling the dust and the silica mainly
That's right.
away from the chiseling surface, and it just sits there quite happily on its rubber grommet at the top there, and away you go.
Yeah, if you want to know more about our dust solutions, Danny and I did a really great comprehensive 3-part series on dust control, particle
Riveting it
control.
was.
Oh, it was outstanding. But we cover all the different formats that we use to control all forms of dust, not just silica, and obviously those 2 feature in it. Right, okay, let's plow on.
You're lifting this one up.
Am I lifting it? Okay. Pass that to you though.
There you go.
I'm going to grab it.
This one again, really not disappointed with this machine as well.
Okay, so it looks familiar to many products that you might have seen out there already from the mains variant. This is a GCD 18V-355. This is a cold cut metal cut-off saw.
A cold dry cut.
Yes, dry cutter. Yes,
that's
cold,
the CD.
cold dry cutter.
Yeah.
CD, cold and dry. 355 is the blade diameter. So we haven't shown many products with a 355mm blade. We have quite a few. We have one actually.
In fact, our mains product that's similar to this isn't as big as this.
No, the previous model is the Cordial one's at 12.
12JL.
Yeah, 12JL.
GCD. Yeah.
Running a 305mm blade.
Yes, so that was a 12-inch, whereas this is 355. Don't ask me what that is in Albany because I haven't learnt that one
Oh,
yet.
we're going to have to go to a wider shot, I think, because again, this tool is so big. Luckily for you guys, I can't be seen. Let's
Fortunately, I still can.
let's be very clear. Let me pop that down for a second, actually, because I want you to see my face while I talk. It's important to note that there are many different types of tools that
Yes.
you can use to cut metal. Like,
Oh yeah,
you can use an angle grinder.
We have a
right?
full range now. I mean, but
right.
when it comes to precision, when you're cutting, especially precision at angles,
Yes.
if you're, I don't know, for instance, building handrails or something like that, welding handrails together, the ability to cut an accurate angle is most definitely a really big part of the job.
That's right. Yeah.
It's
So
all about, like I say, it's all about the prep.
yes, and obviously safety as well, because this is a much safer way of doing that. Especially if you're producing quite a lot,
Yep.
doing a lot of different the same application, right? It's repetitive work.
Safe and faster.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there are alternative alternative types of metal profile cutters. The main one I want to compare this to would be an abrasive cutter.
Yes.
So we have
GCO.
a GCO, okay, which uses a bonded abrasive disc to cut the metal.
Yeah.
However,
It's very dramatic.
it is very 4th of July.
Yes.
However, a GCD uses, I think I'll pop it up now. Oh, actually, no, you can see it. You can see down here. It is a cutting blade,
Yes.
okay? Which means it cuts the metal as opposed to grinds the
So
metal.
braiding it away as you
Yes,
would find on
exactly.
a bonded abrasive wheel.
Now, the advantage here, and I think it's all win-win, so with the GCD 18V-355, you actually get a faster cut compared to an abrasive cutter, whether it's ours or anyone else's. The other advantage is vastly reduced sparks.
Exactly. So the necessity for a hot license, especially here in the UK, is greatly reduced.
Now, we call it a cold cut machine because, relatively speaking, the material does not build up as much heat, partly because you cut through it faster, but also you're cutting, not grinding.
I would say warm.
Yes, warm, definitely not,
You can pick it up with your hands. It's not cold.
Yeah,
Not cold, but not hot.
yeah, not,
Not as hot as you would be if you were using a bonded abrasive, for instance.
yeah, carrots, I burnt myself. Well, still exercise caution.
Wear gloves.
Yeah, but relatively speaking, as we say, we still call it a cold cut because relatively it's nowhere near as hot as using a bonded abrasive saw. The results themselves are typically, I say typically, but generally speaking, cleaner, so less burring, less finishing work. That's what I'm looking at.
Dressing.
Dressing, thank you.
Yes.
Less dressing needed. And also, very importantly, just like when we talk about other grinding accessories like diamond metal wheels, because it's not an abrasive and it's not using bonded abrasives and resonoidal material, you do not change diameter. So you do you maintain your cutting depth for the entire lifetime of that accessory.
Yeah. And you don't have to keep on top of the use by dates for these particular materials as
Exactly,
well.
yes.
So again, date of manufacture, you've got 3 years on a bonded abrasive. I know a lot of people out there don't know that, but they do. All reputable brands put on a manufacture date and an expiry date.
Yeah.
When they reach that point, they should be broken, destroyed, and then disposed of. Obviously, to prevent people bin dipping and potentially hurting themselves from finding something in the bin.
Yeah. Right, okay, let's get through the specs really quickly and then we'll blitz onto the next machine. Okay, so a GCD 18V-355, that's the diameter of the blade. It has a maximum vertical cutting capacity of 127 millimeters. That's huge. That's more than even our corded machines. Remember, this is an 18-volt brushless machine.
Yeah.
So we have a better cutting capacity on a cordless machine, 127 millimeters, as opposed to 110 that was our other corded machine.
Bear in mind, that's 100 by 100, and it will do more than that. That's a
That is crazy.
big piece of steel. We're not going to do it now, obviously, but yeah.
When it comes to the max horizontal cut, that's 194 millimeters compared to our equivalent corded machine, which was 158. So this machine outperforms not only ours, but I'm confident in saying, last time I looked, I think that outcompetes pretty much everyone in this category.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd say so.
Weight-wise, it's not a light boy, but it's still within one person carry at 19.8 kilos.
The handle position as well gives you a nice balance. So if you are carrying it one-handed, I don't think you're going to get two hands fully on that handle.
No.
It's nicely balanced.
Yeah, and personally for me, it's got a really nice clamp and mitre fence.
Yeah. Again, as you did, the clamp system here with the quick release is quite well established out of our 12JL, our GCD 12JL. But the mitre fence has been updated since that machine. It gives you more finite adjustment.
And loosen up. Let's just bring it back and I'll show you the mitre fence. Okay, two locks for extra security. Okay, bring it back here and then you can see you can go from 0 all the way up to 45 and lock it off.
Yeah.
Okay, nice and secure, and then you can bring your material up. Do you know what? Oh, there you got it. Phew, I thought you lost the pipe clamp. Yes.
Nope, got it here. So if you are cutting irregular shaped materials like piping or smaller box section, it's actually quite a lot quicker cut if you clamp it on a diagonal. This pipe attachment here that fits just over that foot there, stored on the back of the machine here, allows you to effectively clamp awkward shaped material such as tubing. And coupled with the stainless steel blade, which is also available, stainless steel tubing's a breeze.
All right, here's example here. I'll pop that down for a second. Thank you. Yeah, so we've got a wide range of accessories. Aren't you proud of us, Tim and Dharma? There are 6 different blades that we have within the range. This one is, let me just double check, 90? Oh no, that's the Pro Steel.
That's
Pro
a 66 tooth.
So this is the blade that comes with the machine, 66 tooth, part of our Pro range. Perfectly fine for steel work. What have you got there?
That's the 90 tooth.
That's the 90 tooth version, yep. And what we've got...
maybe slower cut, but a better quality cut with the 90.
That's right, yep. I've got obviously a few other variants.
Yep.
So when you want to get a bit more performance, you can go up to the Expert for steel. Again, you've got 2 variants of this. And then lastly, if you are working in stainless steel,
Or even just primarily in stainless steel. Again, you can cut regular steel with this blade.
yeah, we've got 2 different variants. This one is the top of the range one. Again, this is a 90 tooth Expert accessory cutting disc blade, with 90 teeth. So that's if you really want the best finish and you want the best longevity, this is the one you want.
Yep.
Go blue. Right, okay. Anything else? Has a laser and also has an overload LED on the top there. So if you are being a bit aggressive, and this is a fast cutting machine,
yes,
but if you're a bit too enthusiastic or you're working with very thick wall material, the machine will give you a little bit of a hint that you might be overloading it by...
It's quite a lot of a warning.
there.
Actually, the light comes on the top, might flicker on and off, just giving you a warning that you may be pushing a little bit too hard. Again, remember, let the blade do the work. You don't need to be in a rush with this machine because it's a lot quicker than a lot of the stuff that's out there on the market anyway. But that'll give you some warning to just back the pressure off of it slightly, and then you'll proceed through the material as quick as you can, really.
Yeah.
It optimizes the cut based on energy usage.
Yeah, it's if you're getting close to derating, it will give you a good warning to ease off a little bit. Lastly, in regards to this machine's accessories, we do offer it. So we do sell a optional system accessory, which is a stand adapter. So you can put this onto any of your Mitasaur GTAs.
Yeah.
That's an optional accessory if you want it.
Even the gravity rise.
Yes,
Yeah,
we'll pop
big
that
one,
accessory part number in the low bar, but obviously you can easily visit our website. And lastly, again, we talked about capacity, huge capacity, outdoing even our corded machines, but really great efficiency. On a 12 amp hour Pro Core, okay, on a 12 amp hour Pro Core, you can get up to 450 cuts. Okay, and that's doing, I think it was 20 by 22 millimeter box section.
Yeah,
so that was
hardcore
steel.
That's going to be your regularly occurring sort of sizes. Yeah.
So I mean, win-win. And remember those 5 advantages when you're using a cold cut saw over a abrasive saw: faster, less sparks, it's a colder cut, cleaner cut, and again that constant cutting depth.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Well, I'm going to get this off, and now we're going to get to the really difficult part.
Yep. I got it. Oh, you got it.
I'll put it my side.
You've got these ones as well. You sold all the good machines.
Well,
I say all the good machines. They're all good machines.
here's a new category of tool. I'll grab the first one. I think we'll do this one at a time and then do a roundup at the end.
Yep.
Okay, so here at Bosch Professional, we are entering into a new category of measuring tools, something we've not really done before. When it comes to measuring tools, we do things like laser rangefinders, laser levels, inspection, as in cameras, detection, like wall scanners, rotation lasers, loads of different things. One thing we have not got involved until today is we're looking at electrician test tools or electrical test tools.
Historically, we have produced some in the automotive branch of Bosch, but these are the first times that the power tools division has had a go at it.
Okay.
And really have knocked it out of the park.
Now, now it's really important. This is a already absolutely packed live stream, so we cannot go into the detail we want to, but don't worry. If this is interesting, it is interesting, but if you're interested, we are going to do an exclusive live stream. Let me look over to the team. It's the next one we're doing, isn't it, guys? So the next live stream we're going to be doing is an exclusive looking at these tools in a far greater depth. And hopefully, if we've got a demonstration wall, we'll demonstrate each one.
Yeah.
Because these are quite complicated tools. On that note, however, let's go to a really easy one to understand. Let me pop it on the desk. Let's just put it there. All right, so the first product that we are going to bring out or have brought out is a non-contact voltage tester. This is the GVD 1017 or -17. Okay, so a non-contact voltage tester. Now, do you call these sniffers? Can you call it sniffer?
Voltage sniffer. I think lying pen was thrown around a little bit over in Germany. Obviously, different regions have got different names for things. But yeah.
Okay, let's
picks up on electronic fields and lets you know if something's live or not.
That's right.
But again, it's the first point in any sort of diagnostics when it comes to something not working.
Yeah, so a GVD So new naming structure, professional voltage detector or detection. 1000 means that is the maximum voltage range. It's a first of its kind, so generation 1, and this is the fully fledged version that we're getting in the UK. So we've given it the maximum number of 7. So this is the fully fledged one. If I show you the interface, it's not very complicated. It's nice and straightforward.
It's got a really good light on it.
Yeah, okay.
We do love a
Let's
light.
start at the bottom. It takes 2 AA's. Okay. It is IP
It
rated.
takes one.
Does it? No, it's two 1.5s.
Are you sure? Oh, it is. Okay.
You doubted.
I'll shut up then.
Let's, sorry, I said AA's. I was wrong. I was wrong. You were wrong. We were both wrong. Sorry,
It's
two
two
AA's. I was too busy trying to remember the IP rating. I think it's 67. Okay, so it is fully dust protected and also has really great water ingress protection. So if you are the kind of Sparky that likes to go swimming,
Probably take your overalls off first.
one thing that doesn't mix, I've been told, or two things that don't mix, apparently, is electricity and water. But if you do want to live dangerously,
At that point, you probably feel it. You
yeah.
need a detector.
Yeah, IP67, so fully dust sealed, and IPX7 for water means this can be submersed in water up to a meter for 30 minutes, I believe. So that is plenty of protection. When it comes to the actual interface itself, we have a simple on button, so I'll switch it on very quickly. Okay, nice little audio alarm. Tells you when it's on. You have a little button on the front there that allows you to do a light. Guess what? Often you're working in places where there's no electricity and therefore no light. So a nice feature to have.
You don't actually need to turn the machine on fully to use the light. The light operates independently of the machine.
There
you go.
So you can run it just like a torch if you like.
So you can find the fuse box.
Excuse me. If I switch it on, you see now if I move up, you've got a mode button which allows you to cycle between, it's hard for you to see on there, but there isn't it. Oh, you can see the LED. There's a little LED that indicates between low and high voltage. So high voltage is looking between 90 and 1000 volts, and then you can bring the low voltage, and that now brings down the range from 24 to 1000 volts.
Yeah.
Little charger here. I wonder if you can hear it. You hopefully can hear it as I get closer. And I will get that into shot better for you. As you get nearer to something, again, the beeps are going to speed up. I'll come all the way to the cable. Okay, and as I get towards power, that's going to speed up. If I put a battery on it, I'll put it into high voltage mode actually. And then try again. Okay, you're hearing it, and obviously you're getting the sped up audio alarm from the GVD to tell you there is power.
I've used this in the actual repair tools workshop around the corner. When it comes down to finding breaks in supply cords, for instance, they absolutely love it. It's just a matter of running it down the cable, and when the beeping stops, you know there's a problem.
Now, important to note, this is not a cheap device. This is fully fledged. That's why we call it the 1.7 model.
Yeah.
It has all those features we talked about, but as you saw, it has a light, so a visible warning. It has an audible warning, so a speaker that beeps, and something we can't show you on the live stream is it has haptics, so the actual product itself vibrates.
Yeah.
So you get basically all three of your senses there being made aware if there is a potential of a live wire.
If you still don't pick it up, probably not the trade for you, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so you should say if you fail, yes, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Give up, change career. You cannot, I cannot use the word cannot go wrong, but you can see that this is the best tool for sniffing out. Well, I can't say the best tool. It's definitely one of the great tools to have in your arsenal to help you establish whether or not there's an issue. Remember, it's a non-contact voltage tester.
As a first port of call, that's the one you go for.
Right, one product that you were very fond of, Danny.
I am.
Okay, let me get it out and pop it onto the camera first.
Right, so this is the GDM 600-15. Again, digital multimeter, quite easy to understand. Lots of people have these, even when it comes to cheaper versions out there in people's homes as well. It's an invaluable machine when it comes to even just checking continuity in a cable to make sure there's not any cable breaks. Something like this is a really good solution for that.
Yeah. Again, we have to keep it top line. Hopefully, if you are an electrician or you've used multimeters, you are familiar with all the functions this has. We will look at it in greater detail in another live stream. The top points that differentiates this from many machines. First off, we have a beautiful, and I do mean it, really lovely negative display, really visible, far more modern compared to some of the older technology used out there.
Don't suffer with that, despite the fact that you're getting a little bit of reflection in here in the studio. You can still clearly read that.
That's the kind of light you're actually dealing with, but you can see it is a really clean screen. IP65 drop tested up to 2 meters, so really robust, as you would expect from the professional measuring tool range. Up to category 3, so 600 volt safety.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, we will do a in-depth training session on these products, hopefully with a test wall, so we can show them in action.
Yes.
Okay. On to the next product, because again we have plenty. We've not just got 2, we've not just got 3. We've got plenty. We obviously comes with the probes.
Yes.
Yes. Next product is I'll grab it. Actually, it's not that one, is it? I think we're going to go with the FM.
GFM, yes.
Okay, so I'll pop it on
So
the desk.
this one here is the GFM 1000-15 or 15.
Yes, okay, so a fork
meter.
meter. I'm glad you said that. Up to 1,000 volts is its voltage range, and again, 1.5. Now, you might be getting an inkling, maybe 1.5. Oh, that's not the top of the range.
No.
Maybe there's some top of the range ones coming out.
There is, yes.
Maybe there is. If you are familiar with what fork meters do, then this is, again, right up your street. Something I didn't point out on the MD, the GMD, the multimeter, is it is one-hand control.
Yeah.
So we've made it really easy to use with one hand, so you don't have to take your hand off, especially if you're using the probes, which are also compatible with the fork meter. Okay, and you can also see in this mode, you can also run it as a non-contact voltage tester as well, just
Yes.
like that first product, the GVD.
Yep, does exactly the same thing. You'll get the same beeping function and light function on the end of the right-hand fork, I believe. Yes.
Yep. Yes,
Right,
the
yeah,
right hand fork. The right hand
Yeah.
fork. Yeah.
Despite looking at it backwards. Yeah, I got it right. Don't.
Yeah. So IP54, so it's a little bit lower, compared to the multimeter and the voltage detector.
We've also got a light on this as well, I believe.
Yes,
you go.
yes, you do.
Got a
Yeah.
light on
So
there as
again,
well.
we like to include all these extra features because we know exactly how what kind of conditions you work in. Now, this is category 4 and category 3, so 600 and 1,000 volt protected. If you're an electrician or you work with high voltage, again, you'll totally understand that. We'll cover that in that future session when we get into the real weeds on it. Next product.
The fork
Oh, go on,
specifically is used for amp draw situations. So you'd put that around a cable for poor access, especially the fork one's the one to go for, and lower amperage circuits. So again, if you can get to the item and you can get a clamp meter, which is this one here, this is a little bit more accurate because it has a fully encapsulated reading head.
Okay, yes, so GMC 615. So up to a maximum range of 600, generation 1, 5, mid-range product, okay? This is, again, IP54, 2 meter drop test, has that nice single hand control, more accurate when detecting your
Higher amp circuits.
higher amp circuits, yes. Can still be used with some multimeter functions via the probes at the bottom here. And something I haven't noticed is obviously the fact that you've got a nice little storage on the back here, so you can grab an
It's the
example.
same with the GDM and the GFM.
So,
Yeah,
so you can
you can
find a
actually.
nice place to store your probes. Again, this is something that we will go into great depth in the next live stream where we really need to go into a lot of detail. So if you are in the market for a professional clamp meter or fork meter, you can pick between those different products. Moving on to the final machine, and this will be an interesting one because I'd like to really understand how popular this kind of product will be in the UK, is we have a voltage tester. Okay.
This is the GVT 1000-15.
Yes, that's
Again,
right.
With a 5 on the end there, it's middle of the range one. So expect great things in the future. 1,000 volts maximum.
Yeah, category.
Four.
Yeah, up to category 3. Now, if we cut to the wide angle for a second, you'll see that if you're not familiar, this is the kind of tool that, yes, it is. As you can see here, it does appear to be something primarily used very much in Europe. For example, the 2 pins. It's designed to fit between the holes in a Euro plug. However, you can detach it and use it like this separately to do your necessary voltage testing. Have a little light on it.
So I was talking to Transport for London today, and they say because the voltage on rails is less than that, they can check the voltage
Great.
with a machine like this as well. So there's plenty of people out there that may be interested in a machine like this.
Yep. If I cut to the close up again, or yes, go to the overhead actually. Let's get the overhead to do some work. You'll see that on the interface here, you can see that as you do your readings, I haven't got an example here to show. We'll show that on the next live stream. You can see that this little scale here will light up, showing you what do you call it? Direction, polarity.
Polarity. Yeah.
And then you can also see if it's AC or DC, alternating or direct current. And you can see here that it'll also give you a voltage measurement, which is what you want there. The machine has a self-test function, continuity testing. It has self-testing and also has the ability on the front here, if you want to do an RCD check, this will allow you to do that too. We're not going to do that because then the live stream stops.
Yes, abruptly.
Okay, right. So again, a really comprehensive range. Just like those Sanders, we've now come out with what I'd like to say a pretty good start.
Again, it's a
good start
really
products.
almost established kickoff for a completely new sector.
Yeah. When it comes to accessories, we also have a nice little magnet hanger, which I can attach to. Let's put it on the multimeter.
You put it on your keys as well, haven't you?
It's a really good magnet using that again, so you can make the tool nice and not hands-free, but one-handed.
You don't really want to be worrying about the machine falling over whilst you're using it. So the ability to hang it up so you can see the display and then have your full attention on the probes is a must, really.
You can tell I need my my lunch. I can't even put Velcro.
Lunch? Yeah, blimey.
Did I miss
It's coming
lunch?
dinner time soon.
Well, there we go. Right. Okay. Yeah. So I haven't got anything magnetic. I mean, yeah, we do actually.
Yeah, I'll put it up on the stand there.
Really nice, strong magnet there, so you can hang it out of the way. Do your checks, especially do your checks without having to worry about the machine falling or having to hold it. So a nice little additional accessory. And obviously, if you have any trouble with the probes or you need some spares or you broke them, we also do those as spare parts as well. So really comprehensive range. Again, we cannot go into the detail we want to in this live stream, but hopefully this gives you a nice little teaser. So check out the next live stream where we will do even more detail on these products.
Much more in depth.
Right, so Tim, well done for controlling your urge to ask us questions. Have we got any?
Tim, wake up.
We got any more?
Still-
Because we are aware. We've been going for what is it? 2 hours and a half now, guys. So we really need to start rounding it up because we all need to get home.
How many have we got? Oh my goodness.
No, we're doing well. We're doing
I
well.
think we're-
Any other questions, Tim?
Yes, we have a lot of questions. First of all, I think a lot of people have been expecting or asking for this in the chat. Is there any news on L boxes? New L boxes?
You're in Germany.
Well, there was news, and I can tell you that it's not just L boxes. And I can tell you they're taking it really seriously, and they're spending a lot of energy and time in making sure that whatever, although I think we know that the internet's kind of leaked some things,
Yes.
that the new L-Box system or mobility system is going to have a lot of new elements to it. I can't tell you anything at this point. I would like to say beginning of next year, I think they're going to start off with a really big bang.
Yeah.
With a lot of products, and I think the mobility solutions are going to be included in that for sure.
Again, it seems to be recently we're kicking off even entries into new parts of the system, of new completely different systems, with a really wide variety of machines to even start off with. So much the same as our voltage testers and our sanders and polishers, we're really hitting the ground running.
Absolutely. Yeah, so can't tell you too much more, but I think you're going to be happy based on what I've seen feedback-wise.
Right, you got the next one?
Is that the last question for now?
Yes,
there's
sorry.
quite a few, but
Keen to get on.
yeah,
We'll take a few more and then we'll move on, and then we'll finish up in the next few minutes, I think.
brilliant. Right. Why don't Bosch sell a 110 to 230 volt charger in the UK? The one problem I have on site is charging my batteries local to where I'm working. The only option is to buy an American 110 volt charger.
I can answer that one. There's been a lot of conversations with ourselves and the professional brand team. This has definitely been something that they have been looking at very closely. In van charging as well as site charging has been a really hot topic. I will have another chat. This has reminded me to follow up that conversation with the gentleman who's been looking at this project and see whether or not a decision's been made, which it may have already been done, and then maybe we'll be looking at a roadmap to see when that might be implemented.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a very, very much focused topic. We understand the requirement for it. You'll see, I think we've had a conversation in previous live streams where we've been saying that obviously in the UK, we have a specific requirement on site for those who aren't from the UK for 110 volt because it's perceived as safer.
Yep. Swings and roundabouts.
Yep, and amps and volts, yep.
Yep.
So that's perceived safe and that's a standard, but it obviously is quite difficult for us in the UK because we always have to supply an alternative model for site use of 110 volt. What we're trying to do is we're trying to replace those 110 corded machines with 18 volt or cordless variants. Therefore,
The charging system needs
we
to
have
keep
to
up.
have a charging system to power site work. So it's absolutely in our
Well, it's in our best
our-
interest to have it.
yeah, exactly. But I can't give you any more details because nothing's confirmed yet. But good question.
But considering the company makes them in a voltage, the American version, there's no reason why we couldn't bring something like that in and implement it in this region with a different plug on it.
Yeah.
However,
Nothing's
it's
confirmed.
all about it's all about numbers as well, and nothing's confirmed.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Is that okay, Tim? Move on, or should we?
One
more?
final question for now. Will there be a 254 version of the GCM 18V-305 GDC bi-turbo?
Well, that's similar to what we had a discussion earlier, but they were just asking for any 10-inch glide saw. But now we're looking at an 18-volt glide saw that's 10-inch.
Yeah.
Same point there. How big is a 10-inch miter saw market?
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So that's something that I guess we need more feedback on. We need more people asking for it.
It's a supply and demand issue, isn't it? Really, if we don't have proof that there is a demand for it, then it's not something that we would supply.
Yeah.
But if we know there's a demand for it, then yes.
And feel free to pop in the chat the reasoning being, because again, performance-wise, I would always go, look, stretch a little bit more, go for the 12-inch. If it's not a money issue and it's not a performance issue, I bet it's a size issue.
Yeah.
Because I know that the 305 glide saws or 305 saws, like the one we saw earlier, they are big machines. Getting that into the back of your van might be not great, and an 8-inch doesn't suffice, so you want that 10-inch. But let us know exactly the reason why that product, a 10-inch mitre, gliding or not gliding, slide or gliding, why that's a requirement. I reckon it's size.
It could well be.
But you need to be able to cut at least 90.
The only other benefit from a glide would be putting it up against the wall in the workshop, at which point...
Well, yes, that makes sense.
Then,
but I mean, you can tell I'm still fixated on why do you want a 10-inch. I guess it's because you need to do 90 plus, but you don't want a big machine.
Size makes sense as an argument.
Knowing that, as we've got, we've many occasions got a glide machine, a 12-inch into the back of our van, does take up some space,
Yes.
for sure. Okay, moving on to the last few products. Next one is still a measuring tool product. Again, I'll be very, very, very brief. We have a new thermal camera. This particular one is something that I've been looking forward for many years. This is a now entry-level thermal camera, the GTC 12V-450-13.
Bingo.
Easy. Professional thermal camera running on the 12-volt platform with a maximum temperature range of 450 degrees. It's the generation 1, first of its kind, and feature set, or where you put it in the range, is 3. So that's not bottom, I wouldn't say. You can go lower, but we have said we wanted to keep this a nice entry-level product.
It's a nice compact version as well. Really nice bit of it.
All right, let me boot it up.
Simple to operate.
Yep, single button, very simple interface, nice little screen here. We could have made it bigger, but then why would we? Because that would mean it's very similar to an existing product, the GTC 400C. What we wanted is we wanted a nice compact thermal camera, but with high resolution. Let me change the view mode. With a nice high resolution screen and high resolution sensor. There we go, that's far more interesting. I can stare at you. Oh, I'll stare at myself. Oh, no, you can't. It's got to be you, Danny. Sorry, mate.
That's right.
Yep. Okay. So we've got, as you probably imagine, we've got a thermal camera that conforms to a 256 by 196 pixel sensor. So actually pretty high resolution. The same resolution as our flagship GTC 600C.
It's his definition of me being chilled.
You are super chill. You squeeze it. No, we can't show too much, luckily. I'll go that way. No, it's just got to stay on you, mate. Sorry, it's just you. Okay. Yep. A nice 2.8 inch screen, so not too small, not too big. It's the proper Goldilocks. Nice little control pad here. Not too many buttons. It has an IP rating 54. Pretty good for a thermal camera, so nearly dustproof.
Yep.
Good, rainproof, not rain, but rain resistant as well. It has a 2-meter drop. Again, don't be throwing these around, but 2 meters is pretty good for a measuring tool. All in line with our robustness series of products.
Yes.
So really great, very similar to those voltage detecting tools that we've got. It has a trigger on the front like our other GTCs, so you can pause the screen. So you can see here, that's some of the crew behind the scenes there. Busy, as you can see. Look
They're not as chilled as
you
me.
can see Ollie. He is a firebrand. He is obviously thinking really hard. He is red hot right back there, red hot. So I'll press the trigger again, so it goes back to you, Danny. Who super cool.
Super cool.
Super
Yeah.
cool. What you've also got are you've got a button here. Let's point to maybe go to the overhead camera. See if we can show you that. Okay, yeah, you just about see. Hopefully, you see the little LED, sorry, not LED, little red laser. So you can use that as something to point at when you're working on maybe on a very boring wall, like a white wall. You can target something, so you can, or you can play with your cats. Yeah. The tool also has a nice little torch. If I go into the menus, easy to do upside down, of course. Okay, and then you can actually have a little LED torch as well as a laser. So actually, really great feature set. Let me switch that off very quickly.
Yeah, when it comes to simply isolating something that's a little warm on a sea of thermal image, having the laser there to be able to point at the hot item specifically is even in some cases more accurate than the picture-in-picture.
That's right, yes. Now, I think what we might do, okay, we'll go from the overhead camera. What we think we might do is now that we have got this third, and for the time being, I would imagine we won't be adding to the thermal camera range for at least for some time.
Yeah.
What we might do is we might do a quick video, not a live stream, unless you ask for it, showing you the new complete range of thermal cameras and going into a bit of detail how to use them, because they can be quite complicated to use. They can be quite intimidating. You don't have to, but it's always good to understand things like reflections, reflectivity and emissivity. Being able to set that in the product, which is what you do on these thermal cameras, and also understanding the benefits and the pros and cons between each different model. So the GTC 12V-450-13, the GTC 400C and the flagship GTC 600C all have its place in the market, and they have different features and benefits. A lot of it's to do with your point of view, your FOV or your IFOV, resolution, angle of the camera. There's a lot of things to take into account, but to choose the right machine.
More pixels, the more points of reference.
Exactly, yes. The differences on this one particularly, again, because it is a more cost-effective one, is it has less thermally detecting pixels, so it doesn't measure the temperature on screen except for the center points, whereas some of the more expensive ones means you can have things like the heat seekers and the cold seekers that go around finding all the different things. But again,
if you don't need
you don't need it.
Then you don't have to pay for it.
So if you are, say for example, an electrician working in fuse boxes, automotive, maybe you're a plumber or HVAC looking for hotspots on looking for radiators.
From an automotive point of view, you know when something's hot. It's just to double check. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you don't necessarily need the highest resolution. It's good high resolution, but you sometimes want a smaller, cost-effective thermal camera. As this is a nice small compact one, specifically designed for mostly indoor use, this is a great choice. Or again, if you just don't want to have to drop the big bucks on a far more expensive thermal camera, this new entry-level GTC is probably the right thing for you.
Yeah.
Okay, last few products.
Oh, I like this one.
Let's have a look at some of our outdoor goods products. Now, we're going to be very fleeting, partly for time, but also because some of these products are not yet released. So this is a sneak peek on a number of products that will be coming out very shortly in the case of this one, or will be out in, I think it's going to be June, July.
Yes.
So a real sneak peek. First machine, Danny, what we got?
Yep. So this is the GGP 12V-25. Little hand pruner here. 12-volt system. Again, we're really pushing some more machines out into the 12-volt category here. Button on the base here to turn it on. Quite straightforward. Gives you a little beep. Light flashing on the top there. Double click the trigger. And there you go. 25mm maximum cutting capacity. I mean, it's
Fast.
It's really fast. I've not found anything to stop it yet.
I think on a 3 amp hour battery, we have 4,500 cuts. 4,000. Let me say that again. 4,500 cuts.
Yeah.
I don't know whether. I mean, yes, you do a lot of cutting. I just don't know whether I could do that many. Maybe if you are a professional florist, maybe. But either way, you could just change the battery if you ran out. But I think after 4,500 cuts, pop that battery on charge, have a cup of tea, and then by the time you're finished, you've got a few more thousand cuts left in you. So what do you say? 25 max cutting capacity.
Last time we cut branches in here, I was still finding leaves. I think this morning, Ollie, you found a couple of leaves.
That's right. Yes, they're still here. They never go away.
There you go. Absolutely effortless.
Go faster. Let's go. Don't cut your fingers.
Well, that's partly my mistake, that one.
Effortless. Now,
I'll let you have a go. as
well, no, you've done it all, but it's basically. Yep. 12 volt. Again, that's why you want a 12 volt machine. You don't need to have a double capacity battery. I wouldn't necessarily advise it. 3 amp hours is more than enough. Danny showed you the wake up function.
Yep.
In order to sleep, you just hold the trigger down. You hold it for 5 seconds. The machine will beep, and then it will lock the drawers in the close function, just like that. Then you can switch off here. There's a little bypass. You can actually just press it, press the off button, and that locks it as well. When I wake it back up, it still needs double click to work.
Right, okay.
Okay. So a nice little hack if you can't wait the 5 seconds, but I'm perfectly happy to wait 5 seconds.
How much of a rush are you in?
Yes. Okay, so that is already in the market. Some of the Asian market called it the Pro Pruner. We're bringing it into Europe and the UK under the name GGP 12V-25. Really great little professional pruner. The next machine I want to show you very, very briefly is going to be a new range of
There you go.
pole tools. Thank you, Matt.
For the next live stream there.
Another reason why we can't show too much of this product, ironically,
fit.
it won't fit in the studio. So let me get this one up. Get most of it in shot. I'm going to go for this part. This is the important part. This is the GHE 18V-50 TP.
Yeah.
This is a hedge pole with a. Can you take off my blade guard, please, Danny?
Oh, the blade guard. Okay.
Done.
Yep.
Okay, so what we're dealing with here is a 50 centimeter bar. It has 24 millimeter tooth openings, cutting capacity of 18 millimeters. It will go up to a maximum via this because it's a telescoping.
I'm going to stand back slightly.
Now, I'm not going to go the full, but you can imagine it goes very much quite long. It'll go up to a maximum of 3.5 meters, so 350 centimeters. As it is a Bosch hedge cutter, it also features the ABS function.
Anti-blocking.
Auto block.
Anti-blocking.
Thank you. Auto blocking. Auto anti-blocking.
There you go. Look,
Okay.
you take the top off.
I'll loosen it off first.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
There you go.
obviously take it into 2 parts for easy storage or easy presentation.
Yes.
We'll stay on the head very quickly.
Fully aluminium gearbox housing on the bottom there, so nice and robust. Yeah, nice looking as well.
Yep, 130-degree rotation on the head, so you can use it down low or you can use it to...
That's not so easy to do on the pole. Yeah, off of the pole. That's nice and
brand new out of the box, that one.
I think that's damped actually. That's the reason why.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you
much easier on the pole. So you've got 130 degrees there, and also you've got some degrees back as well. So that's useful if you're using it low down.
Really comfortable to use moving up the hedge as well. So you sort of moving it like that across the hedge. Really, it allows you to give a really sort of uniform finish to the hedge that you're trimming.
Yeah. So again, the pole obviously has an extension of 250 centimeters, but you can extend up to 350. Must make that clear itself. Diamond ground blades. So I mean, it's very hard to get the ABS system to kick in because the machine will just cut through it.
Laser cut and diamond ground is standard for our hedge trimmers anyway.
Yeah. Obviously, hopefully you saw on the blade itself that it obviously has still a sawing function as well.
Yeah.
So you can.
On the top section.
Yeah, with this section onwards is a sawing function. Here you've got your protective fronds to protect you from accidentally hurting yourself.
How at full extension you'd manage to hurt yourself, or would be a challenge, but I'm sure some people would manage it.
Blade guard for plunging
Yeah,
through.
we've got the fan tip, as they call it, for plunging through blades. So if you've got a wall on the other side, this will prevent the blades from getting damaged against the wall. So again, protecting your investment a bit there.
Right, yes. Okay, and lastly, I just want to mention some bits about the bottom end of the machine. Get a nice little strap, take the weight off you a little bit. They are freely rotating, so that's also nice. It doesn't want to get all
Doesn't
snagged
tangle
up.
up. No.
And lastly, I want to show you that you have a really nice battery housing, so you can take up to the 12 amp hour batteries, nicely protected within this housing.
You can rest it on the floor as well without worrying about damaging the battery as well, just so it sits off.
Yep.
The battery's slightly proud.
Good. And then we've got I wouldn't say it's necessarily industry standard. We've made some modifications to make sure that this is a really premium handle system.
It's a hand presence lever.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got your safety here, then you can depress this to start working. You then have your hand on here, which means that's your additional safety. So if you were to let up like that, the machine would switch off.
Yeah.
And then you see that clicks in. So you don't have to have your thumb here holding that safety the whole time. As soon as you're holding the presence trigger, the machine will continue to cut. Other than that, really nice. Again, kind of looking to try and replace some of the petrol machines out there, so you don't have to worry about fumes. And because it is battery powered, running on a really good high quality brushless motor, you're only producing about 92 decibels.
Yeah.
So it's very good, especially if you're in very populated gardens or areas where
Compact motor as well, so you haven't really got the head at weight at a distance. So yeah, it's nice and comfortable.
it is. Last couple of products. Let's keep going. We're nearly there. Only a few more minutes left in us.
Yep.
Next one we got is another pole product.
So this one's at its minimum length now. So you're not going to see any of that. That is an absolutely useless shot. I'm going to have to take
grab
this
it.
one apart.
Okay, I'll hold it though because
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so here's one part of it. This is the important part. This is the business end.
So this is the GKE 18V-25 TP. The TP, as I didn't know whether we mentioned it on the previous one, telescopic pole.
Yes. A chain pole. Okay, so in the name, 25. That's your bar.
Yep.
25 centimetre bar. It's got a cutting capacity of 23 centimetres.
Oregon bar and chain.
Maximum pole extension, I believe it's 290.
Yeah, so slightly under the hedge pole, but then again, you've got a shorter head on this as well.
Well, it's 250 is the total hedge pole length, but you can obviously, I mentioned it in the incorrect way because you can reach up to 350 with the hedge pole. The chain pole is longer in total length, I think. Don't quote me on that one. It's a long day. But yes, up to a maximum of 2.9 meters total reach. No, you're probably right. Yeah, it's probably longer extension. Yeah, my apologies. If you look back at the head seal, so you can see that we've got our oil reservoir here. On the other side, we have a single nut tensioning system.
Yep.
It's also got a nice little USB. It's magnetized. It's a captive nut via magnet. So if you are loosening that off to adjust the tensioning via this bit here, then you are less likely to lose the nut.
Standard chain tensioning mechanism, slacken off the nut, use the slotted screwdriver attachment to tighten or loosen the blade.
Yeah, a nice little hook on there, a material hook, so you can help pull things out the way, branches and
basically
stuff.
branch hook to bring anything down. If you've cut it off and it's got stuck in the branch next to it, that allows you to just grab it and pull it down.
Yeah, you've got a chain speed of 7.7 meters per second, and it's got a really nice, efficient brushless motor, so you can get about 80 cuts on a 5.5 amp hour Pro Core.
What I was really impressed with this machine is in use, because the pole is so rigid, it doesn't bend when you try to operate it. Some machines at length, especially when they've got a heavy head to them, and you try to put pressure, obviously that's required when you're using a chainsaw anyway, you're not going to get much deflection in the pole and far more efficient cutting.
That's
because
right,
it's all being transmitted to the branch.
Yeah, so that was 8. So just to clarify my point, because obviously you might go, well, how big are the bits you're cutting? So 80 cuts on that 5.5, and those are 100 millimeters, so they're pretty substantial. And we've used this.
That's beyond branches, really, isn't it?
You're getting
It's limbs.
You're getting very close to it, yeah. Other than that, I think we can show obviously on the control side, it's basically exactly the same we saw on the hedge pole.
Exactly the same there. Presence lever, again, and away you go. Also got the rotating. It may seem like a really simple thing, but in actual fact, it really does prevent you
the
from
harness
getting
strap,
tangled in everything.
the harness strap 360 rotating makes it a lot easier to use the tool and not get snug up. Not to get all wrapped up. Last two machine guys and gals. It's been a long day. We did warn you this was going to be a long live stream. If you're still here, Especially, I think we had some colleagues that wanted to see the pruning saws. Thank you very much for waiting till the end. We're nearly there. Give us 5
Yes.
minutes. Danny's got the two. Let's bring them both out.
Yep. So there's one on. You can do that one.
Right, so this is the smaller of the two. Okay, so first machine is the GKE 18V-15.
15 centimeter bar length on this one. So yeah, again, it's a pruning saw. Two-handed operation. We have a guard on the top here. This is designed for you to hold here and then operate the machine. Not a handle. It does have a sign on the top to say this isn't a handle. So we don't want people to slide into the blade and potentially hurt themselves. So that's how this one. That's how you operate this one.
Yeah. The other machine I want to show. Okay, so you've got the 15, and then I've got its slightly bigger brother, and you can see this one is a later sample, so it's fully branded up now. This is the GKE 18V-20 with a 20 centimeter bar length,
Yep.
with a maximum cutting capacity of 18 centimeters. Both, I believe, I'll just double check, I think they both have a same chain speed of 7.2.
Yes, I think basically the internals of the motor are the same. It's just a different bar length on this one. Same design features. On the side here, we've got the SDS nut. So it's different from the chain pole that we were talking about. This one here is a completely different mechanism, tightening mechanism. So this is the equivalent of that nut. So you'd loosen this off, and then the tensioning wheel is just this piece up the top here. Really easy to turn, to slacken and loosen, slacken and tighten the blade. And then tighten that back up again, lock it into position.
Okay, last little bit, because I want to do this because I love doing it. One really important feature to point out, and I feel like this is quite a unique feature out there in the market, okay, for a two-handed saw, but a small pruning saw, which means it doesn't have the traditional brake stop, or the, what do you call it, the kick brake?
The kick
that
brake,
you'd
yeah,
have on, say, the GKE 18V-40. It's a one-handed saw. Instead, what we've done, in true Bosch fashion, we decided to go for the more technological function and add kickback control to help limit, well, not limit, I'll show you. Look how brave I was.
Do you know, I think that's quicker than the actual the mechanical function that you'd find on a chain brake.
So if you have some mistakes, if you get a kick, the machine kicks up. Yes, you should be wearing all the corrective gear, but there's, you know, face protection. There's a minimal protection you get. Kicks in, automatically switches off via that kickback control mechanism that we've had on many of our machines, and also has the protection feature in both orientations. So if you're cutting through something and you accidentally push too hard, same thing again. So if you have through cut protection or through cut control, also protecting you if you're a bit too enthusiastic.
These are oiled machines as well. There is an oil reservoir on the side here with a captive nut as well. So
Of course it is, yes.
there you go.
As we say, as I really point out, this again is probably going to be one of my favourite tools of the year, I think.
Yeah.
That, as well as, look, you haven't even put it back on the shelf.
I haven't, no, it's close by.
With the GRC 12-volt ratchet, for me, I'm very, very excited by these pruning saws.
I've tried that one as an earlier marketing sample, but this one, more finished product, I think I'd like to try this one next.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right.
The full outfit and the moon boots on to try that.
Okay, so maybe we're going to round it off to an absolute epic 3-hour live stream. No more than 7 minutes, guys. So, Tim, what have we got? Questions?
Yes, we still have a few questions. The first one being, are there any plans for a new 12-volt impact drivers with 3/8 drive?
Ooh, that one, the one that we have, I want to say the 115, GDS 115, it's been in the range and is really a good product. However, that's the only 3/8 impact drive in 12 volt that we currently have, and going forward, I think that we will have for the time being. I've certainly not heard of anything. If you wanted to step up to 18 volt, obviously you can go for the 320, the GDS 320. That's out there. That's a really good machine as well. Close to the performance, you'll find out the 330 as well. So, but regarding a 12 volt 3/8 impact wrench, nothing that I've heard of. Anytime. Well, we'll keep an ear to the ground on that one, I think.
Yes, the next question is, are the heads interchangeable between the hedge trimmer and the chainsaw? It would be really nice to be able to just buy different utility heads if you already have the bottom end of the pole.
Currently, no. I think the electronics are slightly different.
Its power consumption is different between the two heads. I think it's more going to be limited by the fact that we won't sell the heads separately rather than being able to swap them over. If you bought both machines, it would make sense for them to be able to swap over, and you can have a spare handle section. But I think they're keyed out, so they won't fit.
I think so, yeah. There are plans to look at some more outdoor good multi-tools, so same drivetrain with different heads. But again,
Similar to the AMW, the older AMW that we used to
so we've got a history of those, and we are aware that there are other machines out there in the market that run that same multi-head drivetrain system. So we are looking very closely at seeing whether or not that's something we want to bring out as well. Any more, Tim?
Yep, just a couple more. Is there an 18-volt cordless pipe threader for plumbers?
Pipe
threader.
Pipe threader, not that I've seen. No, it would be nice to see one. I'm assuming you're talking about the dual roller. They roll a thread into a pipe. Nothing I've seen like that. The closest we've got thread-wise is a thread cutter, threaded rod cutter, not a thread cutter.
Last question, Tim.
Final question, and it's an
accessories.
It's an accessories question, so I have to save it for best for last. Do the chisel dust hoods also work on standard SDS Plus chisels, or are they too big?
I think that dust hood, the GD. You've distracted me now. The GD. What was it?
The Hex.
Yeah, the Hex.
It would depend on the diameter of the hex bits.
Yeah.
Designed for ours, obviously. If you're talking about the SDS, the chiseling, clean chiseling attachment, that will only work, remember, with Bosch chisels, or there are many other ones with that reflection point. It sits on.
It has to have the reflection point for this to be able to sit.
I would imagine
GDE Max would be the way to go, but you should be able to fit that, providing it's got
Hex, I meant Max. Hex.
Yeah, you should be able to fit it, providing the drill collar or the part behind the actual chuck assembly can be clamped. And I think it can on that because they come with different adapters for different size collars.
But was it? Sorry, just to clarify, Tim, were you asking whether or not it'll fit all kinds of chisels?
SDS Plus.
SDS Plus chisels.
SDS Plus chisels.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it goes in the tool holder, unless it flares out, it will fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's dependent on the accessory. If it's a non-Bosch accessory, but providing that it doesn't flare out too much, it should work.
If you have a look on the website, usually if it says an accessory, it will tell you the machines that it's compatible with. If you find any SDS Plus machine in there, then that's the way to go. Yeah.
Right. So we've come to the end of what might be one of the longest ever Bosch Professional Live UK episodes. I hope you've enjoyed it. I mean, we had some people in the chat saying, hurry up, get to it. Trust me, the whole live stream was it. And it was all it. And we're all getting to it. It was really important to make sure that we celebrate the birthday of SDS Plus in style.
Yes.
Like many things, it's always important to remind people that, yes, sometimes we don't have all the tools that you guys want, but there's a lot of things that we do all the time to set the standard for the professional industry out there. And SDS Plus is just one of them.
When we say the 50th year, it is the 50th year all year. You may be able to find out a few special offers and things going on out there based on the fact that it's 50 years for SDS.
That's right, yes. But it wouldn't be a birthday without some form of birthday cake. So
you put it right next to me, didn't you?
Yeah, so 50 years birthday, comes with a cake. Next live stream's also going to be a big one. So don't forget to join us for the next episode of Bosch Professional Live, where we're going to have a look in greater detail with some of those electrical test devices. That's going to be in about a month. We'll let you know closer to the date. We'll put out some teasers. But until then, this is going to be my dinner for tonight. Happy birthday, Bosch
SDS Plus. Yes.
Hope you've enjoyed it from myself.
And from myself.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any more questions, please put them in the comments below and we'll get to those as soon as possible. We'll see you next time. Thank you.